what's happening here. Pocket 8s and ace king. Elio Fox was second place last week, almost final. Wow, he just hit an 8 on the river. That's so lucky. That is so lucky. Sixes, queens, and ace jack. Damian Salas. Oh, what a 6. That's insane. Wow. What a turn. What a turn for Adrian. Poor guy with queens, by the way. Gets it in good, finishes last. I know that feel, bro. Come over here, I'll give you a hug. Well, guys, all-time tilt finally lost. He got called by ace queen. It turns out that 7 jack was not good enough. Guys, Filatov and Martirosian at it again. Kings, aces, my goodness. Arthur, aren't you the one who always has aces, mate? I mean, Arthur always has aces, besides when he needs them the most. Anatoly Filatov wins a big one. Gross setup. Really gross setup right before the end. Isaac Haxton all in against Elio Fox on the bubble. Big balls. I like it. Big balls. I like it. Uh-oh, guys, we have an all in and a call. Ace jack against ace queen. No jack and we are in the money. No jack 7 or 3. If there is no jack 7 or 3, then we're in the money. It needs to be a... Oh my god. Oh my god. He just spikes it. That is insane. On the stone cold bubble, guys. If he doesn't win that, everybody else gets guaranteed 25k. That is insane. What a run out. And we have an all in. The Austrian boy is going all in. He tilts. I wonder what he... Ace king versus queens. And Anatoly Filatov flopped a set. No 10. No 10. Kobonskoy, unfortunately for him, is the bubble boy. So at least, guys, we are in the money. Anatoly Filatov, his queens, beating the ace king of Kobonsky. So the final 2 tables. Hey, we have another all in and a call. King. Wow. Anatoly. Kings? Can the kings of Anatoly Filatov hold? This man loves StarCraft, so we always cheer for him. Yep. Filatov is running super hot. King 5, ace 4. Yeah, Filatov is running super hot. Sergey raised. Bellarmino Sousa goes all in. I don't know this guy very well, but I think he's been playing well. The European has kind of been chilling. Oh, we have an all in and a call, guys. Ace jack and pocket jacks. No ace and Sergey wins a big one. With a queen or a 7 they chop, and that would be gross. And 3 is good though. What a man! Now the Brazilian is kind of short. Still 13 left. Sam Greenwood is really taking his time. Should pretty much always go all in now, right? Wouldn't it be shocking to not see him go all in here? Sami Calapuro is also all in. With 4 big blinds, guys. Queens. King 9. A king? Anatoly is running really hot, but he hasn't won this one yet. He needs to avoid queens, jacks, and diamonds. And he does. Man, he's just winning everything at this point. As we have Bernardo basically going all in from the cutoff, and Sergey is coming over the top. Sam Greenwood is trying to get his pay jump. Now they are both playing the waiting game, but Sam Greenwood has more clock. Pocket 10s against ace queen, guys. Oh, spade? Set versus not flush draw. Spade-a-roos. It's a spade. Is it a 6? Nope. Ay, ay, ay. That's really sad for Bellarmino. The night's just beginning. No. Jack 8 against ace king. Guys, we're getting very close to the final table, unless this is a Jack 8 or a 9. It's not. Weekly hype, yeah. Well, that means we are down to 4, 6, 8, 10. We're now on the final table bubble. Oh, open. Okay, the European must have a monster hand here, no? What? Tens? Oh my god, Anatoly, mate. And they both flop a set too. You're kidding. How does he run like this? This is actually unreal, what a heater. How does he run like this? That's it. No break. It's just over. Anatoly Filatov running hotter than the sun in the last 25 minutes. 4.4 million chips when we only had 149 entries. That is like fucking insane. It's legit insane. Sergey second. I don't even know how he got so many chips, but he got a lot of chips. Isaac Haxton in third, and Mr. Gamble is the short stack. Leo Fox and David Peters and Tony. What's your name? It's Tony. Mate, Anatoly ran so hot. He ran so fucking hot towards the end. I don't even know how one man can run that hot. It is the 1st of June 2021. We are back with a brand new edition of the High Roller Super Millions here on the Tuesday evening in Europe, Wednesday morning for Nano Noko. I'm of course Kevin McCoy. With me is Nano. As always, we're getting closer and closer to our anniversary edition, but not yet, and also not next week, but more about that later, as we are entering the pre-show, which means you guys have 10 minutes to get a couple final bets in when it comes to final table betting. So I'd say no time to waste, and let's go ahead and take a look at the 9 amazing players that have made it to the final table this week. No, I think they're all really good, and I'm so excited. This is actually going to be cool. We've got a really cool lineup. As soon as the production is ready, let's go ahead and take a look at these 9 guys, and then the floor is yours, Nanonoko. This is our beautiful list.
You know, right before we get our 1-year anniversary, we're getting some pretty nice final tables, right? Like we just regularly see some of our favorite names up there. I'm loving to see the top guy, Anatoly Filatov. We've seen him at our final tables before. Hasn't performed that well, but with a 2x chip lead on the second place guy, like this pretty much sets the tone. I know he's a crazy aggressive player. I think whenever you're like one of those players in the middle and the bottom, maybe you play a little bit differently. But when you're the chip leader, every single MTT player, whether you're aggressive, tight, conservative, knows you need to put the pressure on. So this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, in my opinion.
Yep, and I kind of like him for an extra reason, because apparently he plays quite a bit of StarCraft with his buddies. Whenever he's not grinding, he actually likes to play a bit of StarCraft. Apparently he's a big fan of Blinkstalkers. When I heard it, it just gave me a big smile to my face. I watched him on the Sunday night when we were down to 25. He was hanging in there like he has been actually for the last few weeks. But it just at one point, the man couldn't lose a hand anymore than Noko. It was ridiculous. I mean, he beat Arthur, okay? Arthur had kings. That's when Arthur has one of his weakest starting hands. And Anatoly said, no problem. He had aces, won a monster pot, and he never looked back since. I don't think he lost a single decent pot in the final, let's say, 25 minutes of poker when we were making our way towards the final 9. And I actually think he's just gonna win it. Like lately, we've heard a couple of cool stories, underdogs running it up, blah, 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 blah. If you guys want my advice today when it comes to final table betting, put your money on Anatoly Filatov. The man loves StarCraft, he plays Protoss, and he's a great poker player, and he runs hot. Nanonoko, why would you bet on anyone else?
I remember you saying that, you know, when I think Greenwood, he was on a downswing at the end, you didn't trust him, but when he was on an upswing, you felt very confident in him in that tournament. So is this one of those situations where Anatoly's still on an upswing, he's taking a 24-hour break, but the upswing is still going to continue?
Yep, I think this upswing is going to continue till August, okay? That's how hot he was running. Like, even when he's cooling down, he's still very hot. No, I think he's got a real good shot, because we know that he's a great player. He doesn't make too many crazy, silly moves, so I'm not expecting like big blow-ups. Of course, there are never any guarantees, because there's still plenty of chips left in play for the other players. But I really think this is an amazing spot for him to be in. That's, of course, why the odds are a little bit lower. Well, shall we talk about that man second? I saw that he was getting fired up on Twitter this week. I don't know if you caught any of that.
I did not catch that, but what is he fired up about, I guess is my question.
Basically, Doc Polk made a somewhat controversial tweet. Not super, but basically the TLDR of Doc Polk's tweet was like, I don't go into any store if they want me to wear a face mask. And then Isaac Haxton was like, this is really dumb, Doug. And then they started going at it, and then Doug is like, you're a hypocrite, you smoke cigarettes. And I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, I'm a big Doug Polk fan, and I've always enjoyed all his videos, and I think he's a great dude. But I was like, that seems really random to bring this into the conversation. But anyway, besides that, Isaac Haxton finally, and I really want to say finally, had a great Sunday again, Nanonoko, because, I mean, I'm sure he has great Sundays around the poker universe, but in the High Roller Super Millions, he came into our final table, won 7th or 8th. I told you I'm really happy that we have Isaac. Had an amazing run, actually won the entire thing. Since then, it really hasn't worked out for him. Like, I don't have the numbers open, but I don't think I even really want to mention the numbers. It just hasn't really been his tournament other than this one victory, but it's really good to see him back at the final table.
Yeah, despite one victory, I don't think he's doing that well because he hasn't really shown up to our final table too many times and performed that well. And, you know, he's one of those guys that puts in multiple entries, right? But we've seen a lot of these guys who are big crushers in the MTT scene They haven't done well in the Super Millions yet, but lately they've all been doing pretty good. Like Sam Greenwood, for example, he was doing terrible in it. Mini final tables, definitely up in the green for sure now. You know, Elio Fox, he's been reaching a lot of final tables recently, so he's climbing back in. You know, he's here at another final table, and Isaac Haxton, maybe he's starting his bit of a run right now too. And we know we see David Peters, another big crusher who hasn't done well yet. There's something about the end of the, you know, almost the anniversary. They're ready to be in the green. They're probably all going to reach the final table of that 1 year anniversary, and everyone's making money. It's going to be a lot of fun. But today,
talk about the 3 guys at the bottom, Nananoka. Talk to me about the 3 guys in the bottom. We don't have that much time, okay? Speak up.
I love those 3 guys. Elio Fox, I just mentioned, like he's a great player. Hasn't done well yet, but he's reached, I want to say, 3 final tables in the past 5 weeks or something, right? Like it's been a lot. Still hasn't done like top 3, I believe. But
he basically won it last week. What are you talking about? No, are you losing your memory? He basically won it last week.
Oh, right. He got second place, right, against Volkman. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, see, he is climbing back up. I knew it. But Volkman, back-to-back final tables.
Back-to-back-to-back?
No way. Was it back-to-back-to-back? I think you're right. Because I feel like I've been seeing his name a lot.
Yes. No, I think last week we hyped him up for back-to-back final tables. And now he's here again, so that's back-to-back final tables for Bruno Volkman.
And a win in the middle, despite a little bit controversial because Elio Fox and Volkman did do a little flip to close it up, but we'll talk about that later. But Volkman, tiny stack, good odds for such an amazing player who, if he runs it up, he's got a good chance of closing out. And Elio Fox, he was at the bottom, right? And he almost closed it out, or maybe he should have closed it out, that's debatable. Jay Andersson, Mr. Gamble, another big crusher. Honestly, look, you always tell me the $100 thing or whatever. I would put some money on the bottom 2 or 3 guys because I think they're amazing players. At those kind of odds, they can spin it up. They're not going to win often, but when they do, you're going to get your money back. And then I throw the rest up on the top because, like you said, this guy's got 2x chip leader. He's a StarCraft lover, but that's not that important. Okay,
very important.
Good player with double stack is hard to look away from.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because before you asked me if I made any bets, I did. I put 150 on Anatoly Filatov just because I felt really good about it. And then I did put a little money on Bruno and Jay Andersson just because Mr. Gamble is one of our favorites. And Bruno, he's on a sick heater too, but basically $20 each. I was thinking of like maybe putting another little bit out there, but since you're kind of giving me the same advice I already had, I'm thinking of maybe tiny. I have to hurry up, by the way. We've got 2 minutes, so maybe a little more on Anatoly, maybe some money on Isaac. What about Mr. Haxton?
Hey, last week you asked me who to bet on. We got the same opinion. We put the Adamo, Volkman, and Andersson, right? And you won that bet. Okay.
I don't know if I won it. I don't want to take that money. It's blood money.
But that was 3 people you bet on. If you bet on a 4th guy today, you lost the bet. If I were you, I would only increase your bets on the 3 guys you put money on. That's my personal superstition, Roddy.
All right, another $75 right before closing time on Anatoly Filatov.
What the hell did you do on the pillow tables? Did you actually win this week?
No, I did cash in the main. Not a great cash though, but I did cash in the main.
Okay.
PLO, a little iffy. Had a little run good at one point, and then, you know, I'm a donator. You know, that's what I do. Like, I know that those guys work hard. I'm just sitting here playing video games, talking about video games, making some jokes, and that's how I make my money. And if these guys, they battle their hearts out, I make them sweat a little bit. I 3-bet a little more than I should. I flip it up. Most of the time, they end up taking my money, but I have peace with it, Nananoka. One day at the biggest stakes, I'll come for them. But, you know, the 1-2 guys, if they want to take a buy-in here and there, take it, guys. It's all yours.
I must ask, Roddy, did you outperform Kevin Martin in the main event?
No, nobody outperforms Kevin Martin in the main. No, I did not. I did have his table open. It was really funny because at one point people were like, Roddy, you know, Kevin Martin's playing too. And I open his table, and the first thing I see is a 24 big blind pot where he's got king queen offsuit against the guy with jacks. And I look at my chat, I'm like, this guy's so dead. He's flipping with Kevin Martin. King in the window. I was like, come on, mate. Nobody wins a flip against Mavin Carton. But apparently he didn't have a massive run. I don't know what happened to Kev, but he He fell short someone in the center. You know who did make final table?
I did see it. The chip leader. I cannot believe it. Nicholas Estet, Lena 900. It's a 15,000 man tournament. I was looking, I was like, no fucking way. How does this guy do it? This guy is like sun running. And I was looking at some poker news up there. I was like, aces. Okay, makes sense. This guy always gets aces at the right time. But the thing is, when he gets aces, he always gets full double ups every single time, Roddy.
It's actually ridiculous. I mean, it's really cool that Egyptian made the final table as well. And this will all be broadcasted, guys, this Saturday. The action will not be brought to you by us. It will be by Jeff Platt and, damn it, the other guy that I forgot his name of. Damn it, we'll figure that one out.
His name is that other guy, basically.
Yeah. I mean, he's very energetic. He hypes up a lot of things. He's the Roddy of the two. You know, Jeff is a bit more Nanonoko, calmer. And the other guy, he puts in a lot of energy. He's a good dude. Sorry, just completely blanking on his name. But yeah, that will be broadcasted this Saturday. It will be fun. Egyptian at the final table. And Nicholas Estet as a chip leader, like it's normal in a 15,000 man tournament. I actually looked at it and it pissed me off. I'm like, man, he must have been like the biggest sweetheart in his previous life. Like, I don't know what he did, but he must have been the most loyal servant or prevent a war from happening or something, because no one should run this good in so many different poker tournaments all the time, Nanonoko.
Remember you were talking about his trophy case. You had to keep on right-clicking, right, to see if he's going to add another trophy, and it's ridiculous, right? Like, you think these high rollers, they crush all the high rollers. You see their name. You don't really expect them to show their face at final table in 15,000-man tournaments, right? Like, you think maybe one every 5 years this dude maybe makes his final. This dude is just casually making the final table this tournament, probably going to ship it. It's really sick. I think I'll take some time and go and watch that final table, but I'm curious to see how he plays those guys, right? Because he might take a different approach here where he's super solid here, but there maybe a little more out of line, maybe even more solid. I have no idea, but I'm very curious to watch that one for sure. Did you do final table betting over there, Roddy?
No, not yet. I don't even know if it's up yet. Maybe it's already up. It's Brent Hanks, by the way. I was like, Brank? I was like, that doesn't sound right. But Brent Hanks, there we go. Thank you so much, producer Jeff Flat. Coming to you guys on Saturday on this channel. No final table betting yet. Maybe I'll put some money on Egyptian because that guy runs pretty good too. I mean, great poker player. Don't get me wrong. I watch his stream and clearly knows what he's doing, but I also feel that Lady Luck is on his side. If I
he's the hotter Kevin. Cause Kevin Martin, he runs hot, but then he at the end he doesn't finish. He gets like top 20 or whatever, right? Egyptian actually gets to the final table. He doesn't win them, but he actually gets to the final table. Lena, he gets to the final table and then he wins it. See, that's the difference between those three guys.
Yeah, Nicholas is like the combination of both. Like, Kevin runs hot early. Egyptian somehow often makes final tables, but then Nicholas does all of that and he ends up winning the tournament. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyway, we've got time for a pre-show. Before we do that, Nanonoko, I am willing to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I'm gonna do what I haven't done in a long time. And that is ask your opinion about a hand. Ask your opinion about a hand.
Oh my god. You want to ask my opinion about a hand? Oh my god, what is it? Hurry up and get it over with, Roddy. Let me flame you in front of all these people.
We've got 27 minutes. You're okay. So as you guys know, every Saturday there is the Beat the Pros $210 bounty event. It's super cool. This week we had around 900 entries. Top 116 gets paid. Oh, as we're just going to take a look at the beautiful profile.
Like, hell no, we don't want to hear this.
Like, fuck you, Roddy, and you're sorry. We don't want to hear it. All right. We'll do the pre-show, then I'll talk to you about my hand.
Yeah, let's talk about it during like the very beginning of the tournament. Let's go.
All right. Guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the beautiful profile by chip leader Anatoly Filatov. He used to have an Estonian flag, but I think he just moved back to Russia. As you guys can see, he has played in the High Roller Super Millions 32 times, 3 final tables, 13 cashes, but he ran hot on Sunday, and he's my go-to guy to win it today, Nanonoko.
All right. Well, I mean, like, he's got some tough competition today. I do like the situation for him. Over 100 big blinds. That means second place has like 50 big blinds. That is some big dominance right there. I don't know what to say. I think there's a good chance he wins it, but we all know the chip leader doesn't always win it. Today, actually very tough competition. Like, you put this situation with some like more random screen names and stuff like that, it's like guarantee lock. Today, good chance, but Isaac Haxton, he's no snooze, and Volkman, Elio Fox, and Jay Andersson, if they can make a little run, this guy's in trouble, but we'll see. he hasn't done well. Look at his scores. 7th and 9th. Whoop-de-doo.
He's gonna do a lot better tonight. I am convinced. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that Anatoly had. I already mentioned to you guys that he had aces against the kings of Arthur. That was a big one. I believe the hand that we're gonna take a look at is indeed this one. King 10 against 9-8. Turned to pair. Nananoko, what do you make of the hand? I think it's pretty standard.
It does seem pretty standard. Looks like he c-bets the flop, gets check raise. Of course, you're not going to fold top pair, top kicker this early in the hand. Not top kicker, but top pair, middle kicker. Turns to pair. I think that's probably the most interesting part of the hand. His opponent bets half the pot, and he just calls here. I think it's fine because they're pretty deep stack. The hand is good, but it's not like you're... If you get all the chips in on turn, I imagine usually you're not winning the hand. Like... Unless they're really crazy, because D777 here, of course he's gonna have like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, 6, 7, maybe like some queen jack suited that hit some hands. So, you know, it's debatable whether he should raise the turn or not. But with these stacks, I think his call is just fine. But the river is actually really interesting because his opponent bets about a third of the pot, and now he's got the option to raise. But I guess it's a little bit too thin. It just seems to me sometimes when someone bets like a third of the pot on this kind of board, I'm holding top 2, like maybe they're doing a little bit of a blocker bet. I can get some value. I guess the problem with King 10 is if they're block betting here, they could still technically have you beat with like a pocket 8s, I guess, occasionally, and a pocket 9s occasionally. I guess, would they go with those sizings, those hands? I don't know the answer to that. But sometimes when you're not sure, it's better just to play it safe and just call.
No, I like the way that Anatoly played it. You can maybe indeed say raise on the turn, but it's pretty adventurous. And if your opponent did have a set, you're gonna really hate yourself. You're like, well, that was pretty dumb. I could have just kept the pot a bit smaller. So I'm quite okay with the way that Anatoly played it. He is our chip leader coming into tonight, and it's gonna be really fun to watch him play poker. We've got new emotes, by the way, over at GG, guys. I know this is the pre-show, but there are Dan Bilzerian emotes, and everyone is spamming them at PLO. It's madness in the streets. We'll talk more about that later. Let's go ahead and take a look at the man who's been chasing him in chips. Finally, he's back. Nope. Oh, that's actually not Isaac Haxton, because this guy has a few more chips. Sergey Denisov, formerly known as I Played Too Slow, has made it to our final table once, has apparently cashed 8 times, but has played in 42 of these. Nananoko, this man is due for a nice score.
Yeah, I have no idea who this guy is. Apparently he says his screen name's I Play Too Slow. He's probably like the fastest player out there. Watch, it'll be really funny too. Yeah, I can't really comment too much. But hopefully, I like to see everyone back in the green. So let's see if we can get it done.
Well, that's going to be hard, but let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that Sergey had. And this is actually quite a wild one, if I recall correctly. Nananoko, you just tell me if you like it or not. He's got the ace of spades. Look at that bet on the river. I think it's a pretty sick one.
It is pretty sick, right? Because as played, it seems like you gotta bet when you show up with this hand on the river. But let's walk it through. It looks like he calls in position of ace-10 offsuit, see a 3-way flop. And his opponent bets a third of the flop, and he calls here with the ace-10. It's like, it seems like a reasonable enough hand to continue. It's not like the best hand, because, you know, you just got a little gut shot, you just got a little ace high, you might have the best hand, you probably don't. But some things could happen, like your opponent gets a little scared and you win the pot. And this opponent bets again, you gotta open-ended down, you're like, sure, I guess I gotta call. And then when your opponent checks on this card, mandatory bluff. Even if your opponent has a hand like pocket kings and pocket aces, it's pretty hard for him to call here because it's really hard for Sergey to show up with a bluff on this board texture given the action. And honestly, I'm having some trouble naming some hands, so this is just a beautiful bluff. You can represent the 9 really easily, you can represent the flush pretty easily, you can represent the straight pretty easy, and the fact that your opponent has checked this card means it's unlikely he's got any of those types of hands, meaning he's most likely best hand is like, you know, like a pocket aces or like an ace jack or something like this. And even those hands, while are strong in theory, on the board run out and the action is actually quite weak. So this is a beautiful bluff with this type of hand. And ace of spades is nice because you do block some of those flushes that your opponent could call with.
If you like it, I like it. Then no, I thought it was pretty sick. Well done by Sergey. That means now it's time to take a look at the profile of the man who got into a little Twitter argument this week with Doc Polk. But I'm just happy that he's back at our final table. It's been so long since we saw Mr. Isaac Haxton make it to a final table. He is one of our previous champs, as you guys can see. One win. He's only his third final table. I mean, if you compare that to some of the other... If you compare that to Bruno Volkman, he's done that in the last 3 weeks, Nanonoko. That's how crazy Bruno has been running. But I'm just really happy to see Isaac Haxton make it to another final table.
Yeah, it's pretty sick because he's won it and he's got third, but he's not doing that great in the Super Millions. Because with those scores, you're like, man, he's doing all right? But third position, definitely a good chance to claw back in there. Isaac Haxton's amazing. You love to see him. He's like the most old school player out there. This guy's been playing forever, and he's been playing high stakes forever. Today, another, maybe get a second place? To remove that 10th place score out there? What do you think?
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to remove that. Hopefully Isaac has a great run and he'll be in it for a long time. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that he had on his journey to this final table, as this was a pretty wild one. He's battling it out with Bruno Volkman. I'll let you do the talking, Nanonoko, because I think I watched this one live.
Oh, is it? 7,000, 14,000. Is that... That's not that far in the tournament, is it? Pretty early?
Nah, not early, mate. They start with 100,000 chips.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, Isaac Haxton, Gangsta, Jack 3 of hearts on the button, into some strong players, still opens it because he's Isaac Haxton. Volkman calls, so we got 3-way. Look at that flop, though. Like, how good of a flop is that for the Jack 3? You flop trips on an ace-high board. You know, if your opponent has an ace, they're going to pay off, and that's what happened. Bet. You got trips. Volkman there, he rivers the top 2 pair, calls down. You still get paid off even when the flush gets there because you're Isaac Haxton. They know you're capable of crazy plays, and that's a lot of chips. Well done.
This is a pretty sick hand for Bruno, though, because you flop an ace. You're like, okay, pretty good. Back to clubs alive. The turn is like, well, I've got the club drawn out too, and then the river is like, at least I've got like a better 2 pair now, so now I start beating the ace king, the ace queens, the ace jacks that I was somehow losing to. It's just one of these hands where I feel like if you're Bruno, there's not too much you can do, and for Isaac Haxton, it's just let's go. Absolutely perfect.
It's one of those annoying ones where you're like, you call down, you're a little bit suspicious. You're like, oh, maybe I'm B, but the forced to call flop, forced to call turn, forced to call river, I lose, I hate this game, I'm so unlucky. You start complaining, and then you get aces. Next hand you double up. You're like, oh, things are good again. It's
a beautiful game after all. Let's take a look at the man that's challenging him or following him, and we haven't spoken about him yet, and we should, of course, because it's Juan Dominguez, also known as Malacastel, has made it to 5 of our final tables, 17 cashes, over 1 million in earnings of this tournament series alone, but he's never won it. And the reason why we haven't, or at least I haven't spoken about him yet, is because I'm still a little bit pissed about that 1 week where I put some money on Malacastel, and it looked like he was going to win it. He was cruising down to 4. He had all the chips. And then he had that sick blow-off with like ace-deuce against aces or something or whatever it was. And he just kind of ended 5th. Or, no, maybe it was, yeah, I think it was 5th actually. I think that was on April 4th. And that was so unnecessary because he was dominating that final table. That was one of our bigger ones. So there was an insane amount of money at top. I felt like he could put some pressure on the guys. I was a bit disappointed then, and that's just because I know what a study is, and I know he could have done better. I don't know if he's still thinking about that 5th place finish, but that was unnecessary, man. He should have had a better run than top 5 on April 4th.
I was going to say, man, you got some fine details on this hand about, because apparently he had some money, because I don't remember anything you're talking about. This was some time ago. Like, well, he hasn't made one final table in 2021. Haven't seen him since 2020. And you just remember the hand details to the T, because you're like, God damn, my money is blown up, flown away from me. But yeah, he's a sick player from Spain, one of the best Spanish players out there for sure. And you know, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're pretty good scores. And I'm pretty sure his 4th final table is probably another one of those middling scores. So he's doing all right in this Super Millions.
We can take a look at one of the hands that he's had on this journey to this final table. And this is a pretty good one, and it just shows how good Juan Dominguez can be. Because this was not an easy hand for him to play, but he found the correct call on the river. I don't know if you want to talk through it or not, Nanonoko.
No, I mean, but it's a good call here. You know, he's got the middle pair, the top board, and you know his opponent, Sammy. You know, try to bluff his opponent, and that's the thing is, a lot of times certain stakes, you call down here, you always beat. You're like, God damn it, they're always just value betting me, right? But like, at these stakes, if you overfold, you could be giving your opponent just these high stakes players too big of advantage because they're still making these stabs, hoping that you're gonna make some tight folds, like thinking, oh, I'm not bluffing here. So great call down, and this is what you got to do at the high stakes. Sometimes you pay off and lose, but you need to protect yourself, and because you're just playing these week after week.
Well, a random question, but what I've seen quite often is where people basically, if they would have jacks or queens, they would play it in the exact way that the European played it, where you are so used to them c-betting, but they actually don't. They make it seem like they've got the random ace high, and then they start betting the turn, and then they start betting the river a bit bigger, and they actually get paid off by one of these middling pairs. Do you think that that's what the European was going for here?
Too bad it's not the European. This is the Sammy Calipuro.
Oh, sorry, Sammy. Yeah.
So, you know, another... You just look at the flag and just like,
yeah,
must be the European. But this is the other
it's Samuel. It's the two Sams, okay? All I saw was Sam. It's Samuel of Haxton, Sammy Calipuro. Too many Sams with a Finnish flag. But yeah, the question stands.
Yes, he's probably... Well, because the thing is, all the high-stakes players, it's one thing that's pretty common amongst all of them is that I need to be balanced. I need to play like more of a GTO strategy. That's because if you unbalance and they know what you're doing that's unbalanced, you can be exploited so bad that you're just gonna lose money consistently in these tournaments, even though you don't even know it. That's the worst part. So if they're making plays like jacks and queens this way, trying to pot control a bit, but still going big on turn and river to kind of get some extra value that they maybe miss on the flop. They need to find some bluffs this way too. Otherwise, it's not really how they like to play. So yeah, that's why like you're gonna call down here 8-7. A lot of times you just keep paying off, and you're like, God damn, they got aces, kings, and queens or something. But sometimes they show up these hands, and this is the game.
All right, let's move on to a guy that I don't think you know a whole lot about, and I definitely don't know a whole lot about him. Satellited his way into this event. 10K hybrid WSOP main event final table. Uncle Tony from Macedonia has played in 4 of these, 2 cashes, and I saw his name. I couldn't help but thinking of that clip of the dog talking to the seal. It's like, what's your name? Tony! I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's one of the funniest videos. It's one of the funniest videos on the internet. Tony! Anyway, this is Uncle Tony. The profile doesn't tell us a whole lot other than the fact that he's mostly playing $250, $500 events, sometimes a 1K. Well, yeah, I had a monster score in the WSOP main event, and maybe that has inspired him to try his luck a bit more often in the bigger ones.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him either, but we do always need to throw in a random name out there because they're always the curveball that changes the action a little bit at our final tables. First player from Macedonia is my thought. It's pretty cool. We got to get those other flags at these final tables. But I didn't know much about him, but the hand history made me like, I'm on board on this guy. Like, he fires away.
I believe the Netherlands is playing against Macedonia in the Euros, or are we playing against Albania? You don't care about football, do you?
No, and my God, Roddy, move on to the hand history for us. God damn it.
The Euros are important, okay? A lot of poker players bet on the Euros too, no. Anyway, let's still go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that Uncle Tony had on his journey to this final table, is where he apparently was opening things up from the button with Jack-9 offsuit, and David Peters decided to defend. Called one time. But Tony is playing this hand like he thought I was going to win it, and I don't really care what the board is. I'm going to go ahead and win this hand, and he won the hand, Nanonoko.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like the thing, he's one of the random names at our final table, and so a lot of times we see random names at our final table. They usually are a little bit tight, especially if they satellite it in. They're trying to make some money, but like this is a sign of someone who's still going for some big scores here. And pretty much it's the, I know you're gonna float me with some ace highs and stuff like that. And on this board right now with no draws out there, you can't call me down. And nice play.
Well done, Tony. We're looking forward to his performance tonight. Obviously, good luck to anyone who made his way into the main event by satellite and then made it all the way to the final table. Next up is the profile of David Peters. David Peters is 7th on the all-time money list. Nanonoko, why have you not been hyping him up yet? 45 high roller super millions, 2 final tables, 16 cashes. Not doing super hot, I guess, in our tournament series, but 7th on the all-time money list. That's pretty sick.
7th on all-time money list for all tournaments out there. Not top 7 in the Super Millions all-time money list at all. It's just, you know what's a little funny to me is this guy's got one other final table, right? But like, we're gonna show you his 10th place, his 11th, and 41st place score. We're not even gonna show you what that other final table score was. I have no idea what place he got in that one. Hasn't done well in the Super Millions, that's true. But you know, other guys have been showing up regularly, like Sam Greenwood. Like I said, he's back in the green. Peters, he hasn't done it yet. Amazing player, Super Millions, no. But I know he's done well in other tournaments on GG and other sites out there, so I think he deserves a good run today. Tough competition, though.
I think he would have been a good bet at 14.3 to 1.
You know, PokerShare should take into account, like, have they done well in the Super Millions? If it's a no, they should like increase the odds for you. You know what I mean? Like, and if they're crushing, well, if they're crushing, I'm pretty sure they do lower the odds, because I think like Lena 900, those odds are always like super bad for you, right? Like, because he's always going to win it. But yeah, 14, pretty good.
It's not just that he's always going to win it. It's also that he's a fan favorite, and that they already know that a lot of people are going to bet on him, regardless of how low the odds are. So they need to make them pretty low, so people actually start betting on other people too. Kind of how it works, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that David Peters had, which, I mean, the hand is maybe not super interesting. The board is pretty sick. KKK, 6 ace, Nanonoko, as David Peters was sitting on aces. What do you make of this?
The best flop possible. Not the best, but like pretty sick flop. The problem with this flop too is also, what can he call me down with? Apparently he got a call on the flop and the turn. So, David Peters probably thinking maybe this guy's got an ace high or something. But then when he rivers the ace, he's like, well, it's hard for him to have an ace. I guess he could have a king. He goes for a little bit of value because if he's blocking the ace, then it's most likely his opponent has like a pocket pair, say 5s, 4s, 7s, 8s. And he bets tiny to kind of cater to those bet sizes, to those hands. Doesn't get paid off, but it looks like a nice board to me. I guess the perfect run out would be we would change the 6 and put that another ace in there, and then that's like the dream.
And then the other guy has like king 6 of spades or something. Well, it can be king 6. King 6 of hearts, okay? For a real Benzi powerhouse special. But well done with David Peters. It's kind of an odd one. I feel like whenever the board has like king, 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 you're like, well, it's going to be a weird hand. It's going to be hard to really get a lot out of it. But he got some chippies. Let's go ahead and take a look at the man that arguably should have won it last week. Elio Fox. It says he got 2nd. He was technically chip leading Nanonoko, and he really could have taken it down. A 2-time WSOP bracelet winner, made 3 25k final tables during the GG Spring Festival. So even though Elio Fox may not have done that well over in the 10ks, he's doing well in the 25ks. I guess if I gotta choose, maybe that's the way I would go for it as a poker player.
Yeah, because they automatically fire all of the 10Ks and 25Ks out there, right? I mean, if you had to choose, you want to choose the higher buy-in one. But, like, before May 18th, this guy did not do very well in the Super Millions. Kind of like David Peters, didn't do so well, but we know they're amazing players. But he had, what, is this back-to-back? If I'm looking at these dates right, Roddy?
I can take a look, actually, for you, because I know that he's done it a few weeks in a row, too.
Because it says May 18th, it says May 25th, and today is June 2nd.
Yep, no, that's... Wow, then Elio Fox and Bruno Vogtman made back-to-back-to-back final tables. That's pretty unreal.
And they've had pretty good scores in those back-to-back-to-back final tables, too. So he's on his way to making good money in here. Amazing player. People think he's one of the best in the game. I want to see it.
Turns out all you gotta do is be a little persistent and never give up. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands that Elio Fox had on his journey to his 3rd final table in 3 weeks. King 10 of clubs, battling it out with King Deuce offsuit. What do you make of this one, Nanonoko?
I mean, like, his opponent check raises very, very small on the flop, so he just floats the King 10 of clubs. It's got backdoor club draw, 2 overs, backdoor, what? Is a straight draw? Yep, backdoor straight draw possible. So he calls a small check raise, and this is what happens. When you check raise someone small, they float you with some backdoor, especially when they're high rollers, and then he turns the top pair, so his opponent still bets 2 pair, gets called, get counterfeited. His opponent actually value owns himself and pretty much loses all his chips, so nice play for E51. That's the problem. Sometimes you give them the rope, it's what you want when you see the hands, right? But then when you show down, it's not what you wanted, because usually you're out of the tournament.
Do you think there is any amount that our Austrian player could bet on the turn that would get Elio Fox to fold this King 10?
Probably not, to be honest. Like, man, if you're already suspicious on the floppy floating King 10, right? Like, you turn pretty much one of the best cards for your hand possible. You're not looking to fold. And these guys always find ways to call, so. And another guy, he's probably thinking like, oh my god, I got check called and flop. Hit the card like, sweet.
It's like I check races with bottom pair and I turn top and bottom pair. Let's go. And gets kind of fitted on the river. Poor dude. Well done by Elio Fox. We've got a few minutes left and 2 more profiles to cover. So let's talk about, I guess, the reigning defending champion of the High Roller Super Millions. But that is, of course, a little bit debatable. I do have an announcement for you guys. There is now a big warning in the lobby for all the players that deal making is absolutely prohibited and that they will get punished if they are making a deal either on the side or even off the side. If we have the feeling that something is up, well, not us, but the security team, then they will get on top of the player. So what happened last week won't happen anymore. Bruno Volkmann technically won it. He's now sort of a 2-time champ. Yeah, obviously, last week it got a bit strange towards the end. The TLDR of everything in the Nuko is that this is just one hell of a poker player who has done very well in our tournament series and has now made 3 final tables in a row.
Yeah, see, we've seen some of our previous profiles, right? And they got like 800k in wins. This guy adds a 1 in front of that. This guy is crushing the Super Millions, one of our biggest winners. Amazing. A first, and second. 8 final tables, man. This guy has many other scores to talk about, too. Debatable, sure. Last week he didn't know, they didn't know, but that's okay because you know, it was. I don't think it was the biggest crime in the world. Regardless, I want to see him run it up. 15 big blinds, still one of my favorites.
It wasn't the biggest crime in the world, of course, and they were very open about it. It just kind of sucked for the guys that put a couple dollars on Elio Fox because they were living their dream until the very end. But
yeah,
that should no longer happen in the future. We are just happy to see Bruno Volkmann have another marvelous run. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the hands he had where he was battling it out with the man who cannot lose poker hands. Well, sometimes. Sometimes he does lose a hand. Nicholas Estet, King 7 against 8-7. Both players had trips. Just one of them had a full house. What do you make of it?
Well, I can tell you that Nicholas Estet probably rebought into the tournament, given the blinds are 1,000, 2,000, so don't feel too bad for him in this spot. But Volkmann, look, he raises, he bets the flop with middle pair, 75%. Turns 2 pair, gets. See, the thing is, when you're Bruno Volkmann, you get action that other people wouldn't get action on, because Nicholas Estet just has a pair of 7s, no backdoor diamond draw. Still calls the turn bet. Rivers the gin card, pays off, loses all his chips. Volkmann's got that crazy image. And the thing is, sometimes he blasts off here with nothing, and he no longer has any chips, but this is his style. Similar to Adamo, you know, like he's going to put in some rebuys, but he's going to get paid off huge when they got it. Fun player to watch.
Fun player to watch, one of our best performing players. That means there is one man left to cover before we go ahead and take a look at the seat selection process. And that is our shortest stack of the evening. The man coming in 9th place tonight is one of our favorites. And actually, Nanonoko, I kid you not, on the Sunday night, I saw him win a big pot. This was before he lost most of his chips. With pocket 4s, okay? Pocket 4s against, I don't know if it was King Jack or King Queen. I wrote in the chat, I don't know if he saw it or not. But I was like, pocket 4s always make a set unless they don't need to make a set. They just avoided a million cards. He was like 50-50 on the turn because the dude had so many cards. It was like a flush draw, 2 overs, a gut shot, and counterfeiting, you know, any of the board pairing. But the 4s, mate, they run so pure. Mr. Gamble, we love to see him at the final table. Unfortunately, he doesn't come in with too many chippies tonight.
Yeah, no, I love this player. He's actually one of our biggest winners. I believe if he gets a big score today, he's going to overtake Lena 900 for
really?
At least most profit, potentially most winnings in Super Millions. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but those 2 guys are the biggest winners in the Super Millions for sure.
I can take a look at that for you. Yeah, well, he needs to win it when it comes to winnings.
Don't feel hey, it's possible. It's possible, Roddy. But whether he overtakes or not, the guy's got 3 million in Super Million winnings. That is because Volkman was doing well at 1.8 million, right? This guy's got 3 million total winnings.
Yeah, winnings, it will be hard today. If he would somehow run it up to second place, then I think he actually becomes the biggest earner with a profit over $2.4 million, which is currently where Nicholas Asset is sitting. It's insane, man. These guys are loving the Sunday nights and then the Tuesday evenings with us. Let's go ahead and take a look at his hand real quick as he was battling out with the quickest player in the West, Romashka. I looked at this hand and I kid you not, I was facepalming a little bit and I was like, Nanonoko, what do you got? Because I got nothing.
And this guy's able to value that bet jam, just the ace-3 no kicker too, because he knows Ramashka likes the call and stuff like that. Beautiful play. But I do want to point out one more stat on the previous slide. Anderson's only played 32 Super Millions, whereas Lena 900 played all of them. Okay, so there's potential that this guy would be the biggest earner. But you know, sometimes he doesn't want to play.
Well, but yeah. I mean, no, I think I have numbers of the profit. I'm pretty sure when it comes to the amount of entries. Yeah, Nicholas just has a profit right now that's 200k higher than what Jay Andersson has. Don't forget that he won a 25k. Nicholas has said he won the 25k edition
this
of
guy
the
too. I think Andersson did too. So
he did not win. We only had 125k high roller super millions.
No, we had more than 125k, right? Or he at least won, or he won the 10k phase one. It's one of the two. 100%. You can't have that much in earnings if you only won the... He had a 1.5 million score, Roddy. Tell me what 10k regular score is it where happens?
The high roller week, stuff like that. We had a couple big fields, then a no-call. The TLDRs, mate, I've got the numbers on my right. And Nicholas Asset has won $200,000 more in profit than Jay Andersson. So if Jay Andersson would get second place today, he would officially be number one. Not really in earnings yet or in winnings, but definitely in like net positive. Anyways, TLDR, Nanonoko, who's going to win? The High Roller Super Millions week 51. And next week is not our anniversary edition, but we'll tell more about that soon.
I don't want to take your pick. Can you please go first and pick your guy?
Anatoly Filatov is going to win it. The man is going to use a couple blink stalkers, blink across the table, swipe over everybody's chippies, and he's going to take it down tonight.
Oh, you know who my pick is? I bet you can't even guess. You're looking at all these guys. Well, my pick actually is Bruno Volkman, Roddy. This guy, back-to-back final tables. Maybe he doesn't have the chips, but he's got the... I don't know. Something about him. That just makes me just one of my favorite players. He's definitely... I think he's in my top 3 favorite players, but at least top 5 of the Super Millions. That's my pick. It's a little bit yellow because he's at the bottom, but I'm a fan fave. What can I say?
I don't hate it. I mean, I put a couple dollars on Bruno, not too many, as Anatoly Filatov c-bets king 4 of hearts. Does make a pair on the turn, but David Peters has top and bottom pair in our very first hand. I mean, I don't know, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Mr. Gamble or Bruno Volkman have an amazing run tonight, but I think it's going to be tough for them. Let's just hope that Anatoly Filatov doesn't lose too many chips here in his first hand.
Yeah. What's he got? You said this guy doesn't get out of line.
Yeah, I know. I guess I haven't seen him as chip leader yet.
Well, Peters here, he's not folding no matter what runs out. He's just hoping like he's getting bullied by like a ace king like type hand, but this is just king 4. Anatoly knows his hand's no good. The question is, does he think his opponent would call a river shove here? And I feel like he's going to jam. You bet this turn. You think your opponent's got like a jack 10, right? Like a jack 10 1 spade. Like there's a lot of hand. Okay, save some chips, but it could have happened.
Absolutely could have happened. I was feeling it too. Bad start for Anatoly. Phenomenal start for David Peters. He's like, cool. One hand, defending the big blind. Queen 4 against king 4. Another hand where you're supposed to win a lot of chips. And he got the job done. This is where Anatoly sits back. He's like, I hate being chip leader. Why do I open garbage hand, Nanonoko?
Oh, Roddy, they say that Nicholas Estet is guaranteed number 1 all-time money list for Super Millions. But for profit, Jay Andersson just needs a 4th place finish to overtake it.
4th place? Wow. Okay.
He's good. And he won the 10K GG. So it's the GGSF main event he won for 1.5
Yeah,
million.
but
That's a huge
yeah,
score.
absolutely. But that wasn't a 25K. That was a 10K.
Okay, still a huge tournament, right?
Absolutely. I never
I
said he
forget.
didn't win a huge tournament, Nananoka. I just said he didn't win a 25K.
So that tournament he won more than Nicholas Estet's 25K, I think, right?
Probably.
1.5 million, most likely.
Hmm. I mean, the TLDR is that they're both amazing. Top 4. I don't know if that's doable, as Sergey got maybe a little bit greedy here in Nananoka. Going for the check raise after flopping trips. On one hand, I don't hate it. On the other hand, I also kind of do, because Elio Fox is opening from under the gun. Or under the gun +1 as a short stack. I feel like maybe we could have gotten a little more out of him.
I think he was thinking since he raised early position, he's got all the pocket pairs, so he wants to get all
Oh,
those monies against those hands. Pretty interesting. Actually, very interesting. Volkman.
yeah.
It's like with this hand, it's not the greatest flop, but of course it's something. But you're not looking to commit all the chips. But then you're short too, so it's very, very tricky here. Deuce 4 spades though. I can't imagine raising. Oh man, this is very bad news for Volkman, I feel like. Like, how does he win this pot? Because he's probably going to check turn. Haxton's probably going to bet because he's got 4 high, right? Unless Haxton, yeah, I don't know. He needs a queen bad, huh?
A queen that's not a spade. I mean, if it just goes check here on the turn, or Bruno gets a bit crazy. All right. That's not maybe the
It's not bad.
worst. Yeah, that's not the worst river card. Let's see what Isaac Haxton does as he's now playing the board.
Sometimes the board pairing scares the opponent in the big blinds. Like, all right, fine, I'll give it up. But Haxton doesn't really strike me as a give up type of guy.
It's also not the most important hand in the world for Isaac Haxton, though. Like 300,000 chips in the middle. He is going to bet 200K, though. He's going to put Bruno Volkman in a very difficult spot. 5 big blind bet on the river. This is for 40% of Bruno's stack. You think he's going to make the call?
No, I don't think he's gonna make the call. Yeah, it just oh my guy's already short. He's always even shorter. He's competing with Jay Andersson right now.
Speaking of Jay Andersson, he's getting ace queen offsuit under the gun +1. He's going to open it up. Don't think he's going to find a lot of action here. I mean, they were already short coming into the final table, Nananoka. They are not short now. They were short.
The funny thing is, look, you give me the bottom 3 guys, Andersson, Volkman, and Leo Fox, they still got less chips and Otoli, and they're probably all gonna lose. But that's all right.
I'll give you a bigger set.
Talk about it.
I look at the left side of the table, Nananoka. I don't look at the pocket 4s. Even though pocket 4s is the best hand. David Peters has the best hand, but he doesn't know that he has the best hand. Isaac Haxton has queens. Anatoly Filatov has pocket 7s.
Ooh. Pocket 4s always folded at the Super Millions.
There's a good chance we're going to see a flop, though. And then David Peters is going to be like, damn it, I should have listened to those dumb guys from the High Roller Super Millions. Pocket 4s do always make a set.
You know, you really should change the tagline, though. It should be Pocket 4s usually makes a set. Because, you know, it doesn't always make a set.
Pocket 4s always make a set unless they don't need to make a set, okay? If they can do it with a straight, they can do it with a straight. It's just an invincible hand. Not a bad flop for queens.
It would be good for 4s too, strangely.
Yeah. Especially when that 4 rolls off on the turn. Check, check. That's kind of funny.
You were talking about this, weren't you? Like little strong overpairs where they could maybe have something so they check and, you know, control the pot, but also still get some good value. I think as played, Filatov, you know, if it comes another low card, he's probably going to bet again and just get pwned. He might still bet. Who knows? I feel like one bet's going in, no matter what.
Fantastic fold by David Peters. Pocket 4s suck. David Peters, you were right. Yeah, Isaac Haxton has done a really good job in hiding the fact that he's got pocket queens. There's a good chance that Anatoly Filatov just thinks that he's got the best hand here.
For sure. Gonna get snapped, I believe. I still, even though the sizing's a little bit smaller, I don't know if there's much value in raising. Because sometimes people just think they're trying to milk you with the king and you got ace high, you know, so he could value on himself by raising.
Mm-hmm.
But he might still do it, but I
think
think
I'd
the
prefer a
standard is
call
the
here.
call. Standard's
Yeah.
call.
Especially when you look around the table and they're all so short. And you have a good hand, but it's not like you've got an invincible hand. I feel like, oh wow, Isaac
Big
is so
read.
good.
Yeah,
So
it's a good
good.
read.
Yeah.
Very good read.
Difference between the men and the boys, huh? The men raise, the boys would just call.
I still don't think Philotop's going to pay off, though. People always think Isaac Haxton's up to some moves for some reason. There we go. I do want to mention, Roddy, now that I just saw emoji, are we going to see some of these new Dan Bilzerian emojis or not?
I think we will. Anatoly is a real emoji spammer. I think Mr. Gamble likes to spam some emotes too, so maybe he can get some action going. But yes, apparently, guys, there are now 4 emotes that you can spam. You've got the default GG emotes, which I think are fantastic. Then obviously we had Danny and Granu all along. Eventually they added Elky, and now you can also spam Dan Bilzerian emotes. They look very HD. I had no idea what was happening. I was just playing 30 minutes of PLO right before this show started. You know, this is kind of like my thing. I like to play a couple hands of poker before I start commentating poker. Gets me in the mood. As Mr. Gamble goes all in with the pocket 8s and he takes it down. And all of a sudden I see a weird face. I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, click on it. And I was like, oh my goodness, they added Dan Bilzerian. I didn't even know. And they made a couple of other little edits and tweaks to the client too. Now, if you click on somebody's profile or you just hover over it, you don't click on it, but you just hover over the name, it shows you more than just the VPIP number. It shows you the amount of times they pre-flop or pre-flop raise or they 3-bet you, etc., etc. But yeah, new emotes too. It's really cool.
So they got like a mini HUD for you, basically. That's pretty cool
Yep.
because, you know, not everyone uses one, so it kind of levels out the playing field and stuff like that. I like that a lot. And I really want to see these new emojis. I'm always into the emoji game. That's probably like super random, right? You didn't expect this new emojis, and you're like, okay. Because if I told you, who are they going to make? Are they going to make any more emojis? Who are they going to pick? Dan Bilzerian like just flies through your head. You just didn't even think about it, right?
No, I was kind of expecting to see my own face at this point. I was like, it's been 50 weeks. I'm a PLO regular. I was like, this is it, right? Now, I was kind of, what I do hope is that we get some, maybe like Sasha emotes, you know, because now it's been all the dudes. And I think it would be very cool to have some female emotes as well. And obviously, a lot of them are no limit players. So, like, Jane Enders would be super cool. And I think he kind of deserves it because he's been around for a long time and he streams an insane amount. But I think it would be really cool to have some lady emotes too. So I'd love to see some Sasha emotes. I think
Yeah,
that'd
some
be
lady
awesome.
emotes definitely seems warranted at some point. But yeah, no, it's a rowdy. No, your emoji should be just be one emote. It's just you holding pocket fours, which always makes a set.
Well, and people will use it when they have pocket fours, though, so that's pretty good. Yeah, that'd be fun. Well, yeah, I didn't expect it. It was really fun as well because I play it quite a bit. The moment I logged in and I sat down at the tables, I'm like, the sound is different. But that's all I noticed. I was like, this because they save the sound settings. Like obviously, if you install GGPoker on a different laptop, even when you log in with your own account, then you know the settings will be different. But on this PC, I always have the same. I was like, they updated something and I don't know what it was. Then I went to the sound mixer and I saw they used to have 5 slider bars and it was a bit confusing. Now they just have 3. I was like, oh, a little update. And I was like, oh my God, Dan Bilzerian emotes. I was like, what? And then I'm like, I was like, what? More numbers too? Little hot built in. And I was like, cool. GGPoker always surprises us with some tweaks and updates when we don't expect it. As your man has pocket queens and he's very short.
He's very live too, because I don't live's not the right word. Very safe, because Andersson just folded the 7-4 offsuit. I think, please give him a call, Juan Dominguez. Please. Some people fold here, but I would love to see him call.
I'll be real. If I was in Juan Dominguez's shoes, I would fold here actually. Like I really hate. I know that a lot of the pros do call, but I hate calling off here with 7. That's not because he's got queens, but it's just because I feel like at best we're flipping. Like when do you ever go up against 6s or 5s? I feel like that's such a dream scenario, but we are off to not the races, as queens are just dominating here. Bruno
Yeah.
Volkman.
1 out. Nope. Let's talk about that for a second. It's a good question, or I don't know, it's not really a question, but good statement, Roddy. Let's think. Because Volkman had 9.5 big blinds in the cutoff, and I think against that stack size, 7 seems like a mandatory call, especially with your stack size, where it's not that, if you lose, it's not the end of the world, because he's still sitting on 30-something big blinds. Volkman, I think, would most definitely jam the 6s, 5s, and 4s, and maybe even 3s and 2s in that spot, because of how short he was. Now, if, say, Volkman's sitting on 12, 13 big blinds, then the 7s probably becomes more of a questionable call, because then the pocket pairs you dominate go out the window. And plus, Volkman, with that stack size, probably jams ace-5 suited and ace-4 suited.
Yeah, and that's the only argument that I was already thinking of. I know, like the ace-5 suited, the ace-4 suited, there's a chance that if you call those off, then your 7s are in pretty good shape. But
yeah, I think I think you need to throw like 3, 4 more big blinds on Volkman. Then we can throw out some of those hands a decent portion too. But like there's no way it's a bad call. Like no way.
I wouldn't say that. No. First of all, I don't do that. That's up to you, okay? You make the guys angry, not me. Now, I would never say it's a bad call. It's just like a personal feeling, personal preference. Whereas, like, I know a lot of the pros like it. I personally don't really like to make them.
I feel like when you play, you're like, what would they do? I want to do the opposite.
Not always. Only king 6 suited, especially when it's spades. I go a little crazy just for Ben. Never works out.
Well, on to this one. Say Haxton. Okay, he just mucks it out here. Nice. Yeah.
I have noticed this, by the way, last week too, that if Elio Fox, even when he's kind of short, he likes to open the suited ace under the gun, no matter what the kicker really is. Whether it's a deuce, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, he likes to open them.
Yeah. With a shallow stack in early position, you get a ton of respect. If people don't know you're doing that, then you usually just get a lot of folds all around. Ace X obviously is nice because people want to get in with you with Ace King, Ace Queen, in the sense that with Ace X suited, you block those hands, so you just take it down pre-flop, and it's reasonably playable too.
Elio Fox flops middle pair. Tony only has Ace Queen offsuit. You want to watch the video, don't you? What's your name, Tony?
Yeah, so it's a what did you say? What animal was it?
It's a dog and a seal. It's a dog on the land and then a seal in the water. And they just made this random voiceover. It's like, what's your name? And he's like, Tony. What's your name? Ezekiel. And then the seal's like, fuck you, Tony. And then the dog's like, what? And then
okay, yes, I will definitely have to check that out. This hand's getting interesting because given the pre-show, Tony will probably fire this turn card. It's an overcard. He's got a gut shot. It's scary. His opponent is short, and I expect Fox to call again. River could be some pain for someone.
What's the perfect play here for Elio then? You just want to call or?
Just call because the king hits your opponent's range way too hard. You jamming there seems a little bit suicidal. Not suicidal. It's probably reasonable, but you don't expect to jam, I guess, when the king turns.
Well, let's figure out how crazy Tony really is, right? Because that river card was not exactly what his sweet baby dreams are made of. There's 700k in the middle. He goes all in. And where things look pretty on the turn for Elio, they don't look very pretty on the river. You can't really make the call. Well done by Tony. Sick call or a sick shove.
I like it. I don't know much about this Tony guy, but he was already getting me good vibes on that pre-show. The first hand he plays, like it's not an easy play to make. It's a great play. I think with the ace queen, I really like it. Especially against a shorter stack and his tournament life on the line, he's going to fold a little bit more. Seems like I don't want to say mandatory. That doesn't seem like the right word, but it's a really good bluff there, especially with that hand. You block some of the hands that can call you down, and et cetera, et cetera.
It's a fun little dynamic we've got on the left side, right? With Isaac Haxton and Anatoly Filatov being relatively close to each other. I'm gonna balance that as both of them have quite some chips. Once more, both players with an offsuit ace. Nobody really flops anything. Elio Fox is now a short stack, so the runner-up of last week. Definitely in a pretty dicey spot, a little over 10 big blinds.
Maybe he should have did what you suggested, jam the turn. Would have won that pot.
Well, I didn't suggest. You always change my words, Nanoko. Sometimes I ask you a question, you're like, "What? No, you can't do that." I'm like, "It's a question." I'm not saying that it was. He should have done that. But yeah, I was like, I don't know. I was just wondering what the right play would have been. And I do agree with your statement about the king. It's like it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to do that when the king rolls off. But
Yeah, that's the main thing. Because imagine Elio Fox has like he turns 2 pair with the king. You wouldn't jam because you want your opponent to try to represent that king and bluff it off. So that's what they think about a lot. It's like, how does this card affect my range, and then how does that change how I should play?
these are the little hands, by the way, that would really tilt me. That Isaac Haxton just took down against Anatoly. It was a6 against ace3, and unless I completely miss it, the 6 kicker played. I don't think a 6 rolled off somewhere. Like these are the things that tilt me, man. It's like, really? That's a chop pot, okay? That's always supposed to be a chop. As Elio Fox gets it all in, and
Nah,
EVP just folds. Yeah,
should be a fold.
Yeah.
I know it sucks because you're like, man, if this guy jams every pocket pair, this be a wrong fold, but it feels too detrimental to his stack to make this call a little bit loose. I could be wrong.
It's close though, right?
Most guys fold here, I believe, with the king 10.
Yeah. It's very close. He has to pay 330,000 more, so it's like a little less than or a little over 7 big blinds to play for a pretty big pot. He would make the call. Oh, he makes the call, so well, he will receive the nails that he at least has 2 life cards. That is an insane flop. What the hell? The man flops top pair and the king high flush draw. Elio Fox has 2 outs, needs to be an ace. That's not an ace. Elio Fox, the runner-up of last week, is out in first place. Everybody hits him with a good game. And Anatoly is just giving us more emotes. Give us a Dan Bilzerian emote, guys. It's Neil.
That's what I'm saying. Like 4 emojis just flew out there. Not a single Dan Bilzerian. That pisses me off, Rowdy.
You'll see them.
Yeah. Elio Fox out first. I guess they wanted to punish him for making a deal last week. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you the worst flop possible when the guy calls with king 10.
Disgusting flop. It's like you get it in good, and then you're like, look at the flop. You're like, 2 outs. Okay, I've got 2 outs. Jay Andersson is thinking about making a little move here with ace 9, and he does. Bruno Volkman is on the big blind with ace 10 offsuit. It's one of these spots where Bruno might actually think that he's got the best hand, Nanonoko.
Yeah, he's actually in great shape here. It's tough, man. Like, I think most guys do fold. Here we go.
Anatoly Filatov called so quick with the 7s. And that is a bad flop for the 7s. He needs to find a 7 and a 7 only. Anatoly Filatov is having a pretty disastrous start to his final table. He is still the chip leader, but only by a little bit. Mr. Gamble gets the big double. He's up to 1.3 million. So we're still with 8 players.
Yeah, then Anatoly had 4.5 million. You put in $150 on him. And you upped what, $75 more, Roddy. It's a terror, and you picked them to win. See, I baited you. I was like, go ahead and pick who you want to win because it's not happening. Downswing.
It is happening.
Cool off.
He's the chip leader, mate. He's good.
I've got money on the guy who's Haxton.
I was thinking about that, but then you said I cannot bet on 4 guys, and I already had some money on Bruno Volkman and Jay Andersson. I'm feeling good, mate. The night is still young. You know how these things go.
Roddy, it's not happening, but it's okay. At least you can make yourself feel good as this tournament progresses. Uncle Tony, 8-6. Is that your birthday? No, not quite.
No, don't funk with my heart like that.
He's taking his time. Flops. Anatoly just gonna keep losing chips, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we could slow down a little bit with the garbage hands. Like, I understand that he's annoyed. He's like, hey, on Sunday night I was winning every hand, like everything that he got involved in, he ended up winning. Tuesday, it's a little different so far. He's still ahead in this hand, but it's hard to feel really good about King 3 offsuit on this board.
To be fair, Filatov has bluffed on with random hands on random cards, so King 3, if he can fire, should win the pot, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, King 3 is super out of line. He's in hijack.
Yeah.
You know what? This is just, let's pick on the satellite winner play, but this satellite winner is, wow,
Wow.
overbet. Somehow won. Nice.
Yeah.
But it's gangsta.
It's a little too wild for me. I don't know. I'm not that. All right. He's got nines the next hand. So Anatoly is going to play another one. This one is, of course, a little more reasonable. I feel like he's just going to take the blinds down here.
Do you feel? I feel like you think a blow up will happen eventually as this tournament continues, don't you, Roddy? Like you're not feeling too hot, are you?
I'm feeling all right as long as. Ooh, this is an action flop. As David Peters flops the open ender, and Anatoly Filatov has two of those open ender outs, and also has the overpair.
They always tricky. Did they? You know what it is? They're scared of these paired boards, aren't they? Like they get check raised a lot, so they've been checking these over pairs.
I hear a weird sound, by the way. Is it on my side, or do you hear that too? Like a crackling sound.
I don't, but I don't. So I have no idea what to say.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll figure it out.
Anyways, so well, Peters is now taking the lead with an overbet. Wow, gets the nines to fold quickly. That was a weird hand.
That was a really weird hand. Checking the nines on the flop and then just folding it immediately on the turn. Right after we got super out of line with King 3 on a very random board. I don't know. You know what it is? I think Anatoly is still currently wrapping up a ladder game or two. He's playing, like he's warping in some Zealots and High Templars as we speak. Walking around with his Blink Stalkers. As soon as that game of StarCraft is done, full focus on this 10K final table. He'll still take it down.
Yeah, but the thing is, I knew Filatov was a very aggressive. Russians are always crazy, man. We've seen our final tables. He always came in the middle or bottom, so he played very ICM heavy and like quite solid and tight. But when you put these guys in Chipley, they're crazy, and he's living up to his name. It's not doing too well, but at least it's what I expected.
As we are down to 8, I want to let all of you guys know that we have uploaded a couple of videos when it comes to the best of 1 year high roller super millions. We've made a couple highlight video for you guys, the best bluff, the best coolers, the best gambles, and the best hero calls as well. And you guys can go ahead and place your votes on some of your favorites. I actually recorded a couple voice lines for those videos as well. I did not dare to look at them. I'm more of a live guy than a Nananoko. I like doing everything live. Well, when it comes to recording, I'm like, I just hope it's all right. You guys do with it whatever the hell you want. But the poker content itself was very cool. It was fun to see a couple of the all-time classic hands that we saw. We've seen some wild hands of poker over the last year, Nananoko.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I can remember a decent amount of them. Like usually Adamo's involved or Volkman. That's what I remember.
Well, and Malogno and Kotelnikov, because that was just the most out of line heads up in history of poker. But
probably the most out of line hand of all the Super Millions is what I'm thinking is that hand. Like no one can reproduce that bluff. In all poker, all of GGPoker. Maybe the guys at the micro stakes can reproduce that bluff, but nowhere else.
Sergey wakes up with jacks. He was actually sitting out as David Peters has tens and Bruno Volkman is the one opening things up under the gun. Could be a spicy hand, Nananoko. If we fold jacks here, I'm taking a 25-minute break.
He's not gonna fold jacks here.
I know.
If Volkman had folded pre-flop, I think these two could have clashed for all the chips, given the positions. As played, it's still going to be quite interesting. I expected David Peters 3-bet for sure against this kind of a short stack. Sergey, he's going to see the action. He's going to be like, this is annoying, but how can I fold jacks? And probably just go with it anyways.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like watching David Peters plays because usually he doesn't shy away from action more than a lot of the other guys.
This is where we make it. I want to say 420. Can we make it 420?
Yeah, something like that. But David Peters' smooth call here, I feel like it makes it worse for him because I think if he 3-bets at 300K and then gets heavy action after, he probably would just be like, I guess you got it. But as played, you're kind of creating a situation where it looks like someone's making a play that is willing to get him with Volkman, but not, maybe not willing to get with the other guy, and it could be real spicy. I don't think he's folding for sure, and occasionally he jams.
Do you know there are 365 days in a year in Nananoka?
That's what you just Googled? Are you kidding me?
That's not what I Googled, mate.
It's funny because the time is he put 365,000 out there, and then you said, and then I heard some keyboard clicking, typing, and then you tell me that.
No, I typed something else, mate. Wow, I knew that your thoughts on me were not very high. But do you really think that I have to Google how many days there are in a year? To be fair, I do confuse someone like, is it 365 or 356? But that's not what I Google.
It's pretty bad too. But thoughts on this? What's going to happen? It's tough.
I think we
it's
call.
Really tough.
I think we just call.
He's thinking about. Yeah, he was thinking about though.
Mm-hmm.
I think fold was out of the question. He was just wondering, is it worthy of a jam?
I think that's a bit too much because they're actually very deep. It's like over 30, 35, 40 big blinds almost. Like, no, I wouldn't want to see anyone jamming there with tens. I think calling is just the only right choice you really have. Play a flop, see if you like the flop. If flop comes ace, king, 7, you don't like it, you fold then. And poker is not that hard.
Funny thing of 2 jacks is this is one of the worst flops out there for your hand in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sergey is wondering, should he bet? If he's gonna bet so tiny. I think the logic here is he doesn't want to get bluffed off his hand later. Because if he checks this flop, it looks like he's got queens or jacks, and his opponent might pick up on that and just take it away. So now he's just betting a little bit to keep the control, make it a little bit easier.
Yep.
Play the hand.
And for David Peters, it just sucks because you're like, okay, that's a really tiny bet. Do you not like that flop either, or do you like really, really like it? And you're just trying to milk me. Like it's a fine line where you're like, let's let go of the tens. Let's move on. But
yeah,
well done by Sergey. He played the jacks the way we want to see people play the jacks. See, no, I don't think we're all that demanding. We just don't want to see people fold jacks. We want to see them raise the jacks, make a little c-bet. It's all good.
For sure. Yeah, I think, the thing is, let's just say Sergey had aces, kings, and ace-king. On that board, you hit it so hard, you would bet really tiny too. You want to just hope for a little float or something. So, like I told you earlier, with your big hands, you got to think about the other spectrum. Like with my weaker hands, I kind of want to keep, you want to be a bit balanced, I guess is what I want to point out.
Mm-hmm. Bruno Volkman decided to defend his big blind with queen 7 offsuit and flop top pair.
Yeah. I'm always curious to how to see the sickos play like these small stacks and with the big blind, because I personally, my first thought was queen 7's too weak to defend here in this big blind versus undergun situation. But I could easily be wrong. And you see Volkman defend here, and I always find it, this is the thing, it's fun watching these Super Millions, but it's definitely like a big learning experience too.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what Juan Dominguez decides to do with his ace-6 of clubs. He really has not much going for himself on this board, and that's an understatement. It's just a crappy board for him. Could go for a bigger bet, but the problem is if he makes a bigger bet, Bruno Volkman basically has all in or fold, and if he then all ins and you already go for a big bet, it's annoying. Does go for the slightly bigger bet, Nananoko. What is that, 60% pot?
He doesn't have anything. These guys are out of line today, Roddy. Like, just, I hope you fold mode.
And I think Bruno's is going to jam here, right? Like, you don't love it, but it's top pair, and you just hope it's good.
Yeah, it seems you don't love it. Well,
now you love
you're
it.
Okay now.
Like, honey, I did love you all along. I wasn't sure at first, just because I didn't say yes immediately. Didn't mean there was no real love here, okay?
Yeah, I'm not sure why he just called the turn with that stack size. Because I feel like if his opponent had like a king, jack, king 10, they would have just.
Cycle.
Yeah, I don't know. So, and then he jams.
I would have liked to see him bet really small.
But I guess Juan Dominguez is thinking, why are you jamming now? And why didn't you jam the turn if you had a queen? Because we would expect a queen to always jam the turn with that stack size remaining. So maybe Juan Dominguez, in a crazy world, just calls here thinking this guy's got a draw.
10-7 of spades.
Yes, 10-7 spades, king jack of diamonds, king 10 of diamonds, and just going for some YOLO. Because it is very strange that he did not jam the queen on the turn.
Well,
Very
Juan
strange.
is definitely thinking about all these things that you just said, Nananako. And he's wondering if he can make it into the highlight reel. I know you guys made a couple videos already. Best hero calls of the year. He's like, I've got another candidate right here. A6 of clubs, baby. It's like, no, Juan. First of all, the videos have already been made. Roddy's not putting in extra work. Second of all, your hand's no good here. But that's very easy for us to say. He's really thinking about it. Anatoly, give us some Dan Bilzerian emotes. I know you're listening. Give us a Dan Bilzerian emote.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I kind of feel like he's going to call Roddy because he's just in utter shock. Like, how can this guy ever have value? He does have value. A6 blocks a lot. It does not block many hands he beats.
And there's obviously a chance that, you know, Bruno thinks that Juan Dominguez has an ace-king suited or an ace-jack suited, and he's trying to get him to fold ace-high, right?
Exactly.
In a crazy world, that is possible.
And Volkman's image is a little bit dumb sometimes. Not dumb's the wrong word, but you know, crazy. So, like, Volkman gets paid off here sometimes. It's... Oh, man. I think the more Juan Dominguez thinks so, the more he calls.
Yep.
The only reason he blocks 6-7. That's about it with his hand, which is what he wants to pick off.
He makes the call. Juan Dominguez makes the call, and he will receive the bad news. That Bruno Volkman had trip queens. I mean, that's a big one for Bruno Volkman, who chips all the way up to 1.5 million. Meanwhile, Juan Dominguez is now a shorter stack at the table. It's not his night so far, Nananoko.
So, yeah, you didn't bet on Juan Dominguez. Now you're probably thinking like, yeah, I remember that one time you failed me. Yeah, you do some moves here and there, and that one, I understand why he called the river. I feel like the turn was a little bit was very out of line, especially.
Will he all in here, by the way? Do you think he will all in here?
I don't think so. I think he just calls. Because Isaac Haxton in the cutoff against a chip leader behind him isn't as wide as some guys might think. I think he would have jammed on Anatoly for sure because of the flare and the chip situation.
And probably the hands that he's seen so far. King 3 offsuit, King 4 suited under the gun. He's like, all right.
Ace 8 might call here because of all the backdoors. They're okay. Little straight draws, little flush draws, maybe best hand. Stack size is a little annoying to float, but Juan's like, man, I've done so much. I've already lost a lot of chips on the last hand with some funny hand. And he feels a little bit like wants to get in there. It's one of those cards.
That's the wombo combo of cards, mate. Gives him a gut shot, and it obviously gives him the nut flush draw too. Isaac Haxton bets here. Only assume that Juan Dominguez is going to go all in. Anything else doesn't really make much sense, I think.
These guys, they're just firing away. Wow. If Juan Dominguez check raise all in here, he'd win the pot, I think.
But he will he will all in though, right? Like, wouldn't calling suck? Yeah, what if you will miss? If the deuce of spades rolls off, that just sucks so hard.
He's wondering, does he have fold equity? Does he have the best hand? sometimes.
Tiny bit.
I think he does sometimes because he could be up against a king-queen offsuit.
I think he can go all in.
A lot of times he would just call though, because he's like, man, nice play.
I
He's
like
on
it.
to you. Wow.
I like it. Well done. That's a good way to bounce back after that previous hand. I think he played it about as well as he could. That's Bruno Vogtman. Yeah, Bruno Vogtman is a fan of this show. He knows what we know, Nanonoko. He's sitting on a monster on the button. Oh. Uncle Tony, he's going to defend his big blind. The flop is going to be... What? Bruno! Oh, okay. Let me just go ahead and make a little note that never bet on Bruno Vogtman again. Done.
Yeah, right. You know you would bet on him again. But
I know I would.
That was a very strange fold in my opinion. They really... Because, like, I know sometimes you're in middle position or you got some guys behind you or you got 20 big blinds, you fold the pocket. This guy's got 30 big blinds button, satellite winner in the big blind.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, just...
Now, memes aside about the pocket fours, I didn't like that fold. Like, I would have liked to see Bruno just open there. Like, that's I don't want to say a dream scenario for fours. I guess the dream scenario is closing the action in the big blind or something, and then you have pocket
pretty
fours.
much.
Yeah, but I mean, this was about as good as it gets. I would have loved to see Bruno open there.
Yeah. Moving on.
After Isaac Haxton lost some chips, it does mean that Anatoly Filatov is still our chip leader. It's been a first hour to forget about real quick for Anatoly, but you know, let's get rid of that ice cube and then it's still all good.
Yeah, it's funny because like with the 4.5 million chips he had earlier, it was and all there's like 3 guys with 500k, which only one of them is gone, and 2 of the guys have doubled or tripled their stacks. It seemed like one of those like raise. The tournament's over in 2 hours. Now, quite a steady game actually. No
Line's
real short
not
stacks
that high yet. Uncle Tony, he's gonna fold 8-5 of diamonds. Let's see what Sergey does with a suited king. He's gonna limp. Isaac Haxton can just check, I guess. You know, Nanonoko, I still didn't get to share my hand story with you.
I've tried to forget about that one. Go for it.
Come
Good timing.
on.
Some bad hands. What do you got?
Yeah. All right. So beat the pros, $210 bounty event. Top 116 gets paid. 120 people are left. It gets folded to the button. I'm in the small blind. Button has 21 big blinds. He jams. He's pretty wild. VPIP over 35%. I'm in the small blind, 19 big blinds. Obviously, super guaranteed in the money if I want to be in the money. I've got ace king offsuit. In the big blind, there is someone with like 7 big blinds and a big bounty, but he's going to fold his way to the money. What do we do? 4 spots before the money, Nanonoko.
I call because I always hate myself when I make this fold and then I get top 70 and, you know, I make some money, but, you know, I don't make much. And I always go, what if? I can tell you from an ICM point of view, I'm almost certain that's a fold, especially with ace king offsuit, because you're unpaired. When they have 2 live cards, you know, they have still 35% equity. It's quite high against you. You would never fold like queens plus, because I don't think queens plus can fold, because it's, let's say against jack 10, you're like crushing way too hard. Ace king, you're supposed to fold. I personally would never fold, especially if it's a $200 tournament. Like, I know $200 is it's not pennies, but like if you can afford to play a $200 tournament, you can afford to take a little risk here and there. And I definitely would be calling there. And 20 big, I always think about what I can turn these 40 big blinds into, right? And especially in it's not a bounty tournament, it's just bounty on you.
It is. No, it's
a whole
a bounty tournament. Yeah, it's a bounty for everyone.
So in a bounty tournament, his range should be extra, especially wider. So he's probably jamming all of the ace X's and stuff. So you're crushing more. And it puts you in a situation to collect bounties from everyone else. Because if you win that pot, you get a big stack. And now you can collect all the tiny bounties that are probably remaining, trying to get into the money. I think it's a call for sure. I'm pretty sure it's a fold from an ICM point of view because you are guaranteed money. The difference between 0 and I don't know, $300 or whatever for the min cash is a bit too much to be calling ace king, but I would never fold there. And I think a decent amount of players kind of use a similar logic to me for these like high rollers.
You like the spot though? It's an all right question.
It's an all right question. I think ace queen. I know it's almost the same hand, but like I don't know. There's a point when you got to draw the line, right? Because if I'm folding an ace king, you're like, well, technically I'm folding almost 100% of my hands. So what did you do?
I had ace king offsuit. I called because I knew that guy was shoving garbage. He had king 10, and the flop was ace, jack, 10, turn 4, river queen, and I was out.
No, you chop, right? You didn't chop.
All right, then it was the other way around. There was no 10. It was there was like ace king.
He hit it straight.
TLDR, he needed a queen on the river to win, and he hit the queen on the river.
Feels bad, man. But I'll tell you this.
Look at this hand, by the way. Look at. We'll talk more about it later. This is actually quite the turn card, man. David Peters makes Broadway, but Bruno Volkmann sitting on the not flush draw.
Yeah, Volkmann getting these kind of like tricky ace jack hands, huh? I believe it went raise pre-flop, smooth call pre-flop, and then did it go check on a flop? I imagine, or did it bet? I think it went check. Okay, based on the pot size.
I think the pot is too small. I don't think any bets went in. Maybe a very tiny bet.
Nah, it's not. Yeah, just call. As played, Volkmann will just call here, I think. Raising just seems ridiculous a little bit. I thought my guy was going to be cruising to the top with that Queen 7 play. Back to the short stack, mate.
Well, 1.1 million is not that bad.
He's going to lose more chips. This guy's going to bet. He's not going to check the ace queen, is he?
Probably not. This is kind of a scary run out though for it's like he's got the Broadway straight, but he's got far from the nuts.
Yeah, I understand. But his opponent has played passively on the flop and turn, so it discounts a lot of the full houses a lot. Plus sometimes Jack 10 bets a turn himself, so he discounts that a decent amount too. And wow, he does check. Save, yes! It feels so good. Volkmann's got to feel so good about this hand, even though he lost it. I'm
not too surprised to see him check there. Like I think everything you say makes sense, but you also feel like an absolute baboon if you do bet there and then you get raised all in and then you have to call off and then you're left with absolutely no.
Do you feel like a baboon when your opponent shows you ace jack their top trips? A little bit too, right? So like
yeah, a little bit, but less of a baboon than when I'm out of the tournament at the final table of High Roller Super Millions. When I could have just checked, when I had the option to check. I'm okay with it. It's passive, it's tight. We know there are people that would bet there for sure, 100%. But it's not a play that I hate.
I don't hate the play either. I do think there's a lot of reasons to bet. Like basically what I told you is I expect a lot of, I want to say it's not 100% frequency by any means. Of course, his opponent could slow play a hand, or maybe he's got pocket tens and check call to turn. But I would expect it a big hand to fire some bets as the pre-flop raiser a little bit earlier. More often.
I'm worried
than
for
not.
Bruno here. I'm worried for Bruno.
He's fine.
Nah, you know how he goes, mate. He loses a big pot, then he gets king 10 against Anatoly, the guy who's chip leader. Okay, he doesn't do anything. Sometimes this is where they get a little crazy, Nananeko.
You give him the ace-5 offsuit, that bumping it up for sure.
Wow, Jackson tens again. What the hell?
And we throw in the
David Peters have tens last time too.
He did against Sergey.
Yeah.
Anatoly just calls, flops a set.
Bottom set. David Peters has an underpair. And a gut shot, of course.
If Peters bets the flop, okay, I was going to say, sometimes they try to represent that ace-king, especially with some blockers to some straights.
By the way, poor David Peters, he's like, man, F you pocket tens. Second time he plays tens. First time the flop is ace-king X. Now it's ace-king Jack. You're like, come on. Any low cards in this deck or what the hell?
Yeah. It does still make the call, but I imagine he's out on the turn. It seems like David Peters gets the most annoying. Him and Volkman getting some annoying
Yeah.
hands, like not easy hands to play with today.
You get the hands. You're excited to play a hand, and it's like back to back Ace King X, Ace King Jack flops. You're like, well, then you may as well be playing pocket threes and pocket fours, mate. 'Cause it's the same amount of overcards.
Just want to point out, pocket fours didn't make a set on the flop or turn, and it was folded pre-flop. I don't know if you noticed that.
Didn't happen. I don't know why you're making up things for the viewers at home, America. It's not why people are tuning in, mate. Pocket jacks again. The hell?
Funny. I was actually a little surprised he just called pre-flop. I think you were thinking that too.
Yep. On the other end, maybe starting to feel it a little bit, where he's like, all right, let's slow down. I came in with 4.8 million chips, sitting at 2.8 million, not even an hour into this final table.
Did he start with 4.8? I thought it was 4.5, but I think you're right, probably. That's even more of a downfall than I thought.
4.5. Sorry, you're right.
It's funny, though, because how can you be thinking like that, Roddy? Because remember he opened the king 3 after he lost that huge pot, which is weird. And all of a sudden he's like, you know what? Maybe it's time to slow down.
This is where the Russians are DMing him. It's like, slow down, Bratan. He's like, okay. I'll play solid poker. Gonna bet the jacks here. David Peters makes the call with ace-9. Saw the back doors, decided to make a call. Makes top pair on the turn. Life is good for David Peters. And pocket tens don't see good flops. And apparently pocket jacks don't see a whole lot of good things either.
For someone who seems to get a lot of funny spots, David Peters is doing all right still with his stack size.
He's doing very all right.
I'm not sure what Jax is thinking. It's got to be a check. I guess it's a block bet. I don't like it, personally. It just seems like
2.7.
you're letting the queen come along with this price. An ace already has you beat. You're charging what, the 6-5? I don't know. It just seems ambitious.
Actually, a scary card for David Peters, right?
No, it's not actually. The reason is Anatoly is not perceived to be betting the king queen jacks this way. He should always be checking that turn. Not always. Very high frequency.
All right. Well, David Peters will receive the kneels at the ace-9 is best, and Anatoly drops back to 2.8 million. We have still not seen a single Dan Bilzerian emote. Just making me a little upsetty spaghetti. No, Isaac Haxton and Anatoly both have king jack, while Juan Dominguez and David Peters both have ace-10.
I think everyone's just gonna fold too. It's the funny thing. Did anyone tell these guys at the high roller final table that if the first one use a Dan Bilzerian emote gets extra chips or anything? Like, can we get
one
them?
Big blind?
Yeah,
splash the pots. We'll turn the table orange. Splash the pot.
Is there? Okay, I'll hold that thought for a second. I think maybe it goes open jam. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you are correct. Slightly bigger opening.
I'm not sure if it's happened yet, but King Jack offsuit was opened for Volkman earlier with this kind of a stack size in this situation. If Juan knows that, which he probably does because he knows his opponents.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Nice fold.
Good fold. Does not want to go in there with the 19 big blinds that he has left. And that turns to be a great decision. Isaac Haxton does defend his big blind with Jack 10, flops 2 overs and a gut shot.
Another annoying spot for Volkman.
Yeah.
Marginal situations.
But Isaac Haxton donk bet here. Is this a good flop to donk bet?
Yes, it is. Because it hits a big blind a lot more. And donk betting is quite nice against stack sizes like this in the sense that they can't really float you that much. Just expecting you to be bluffing them, because if they're wrong, it's quite detrimental to their stack. But I do feel like with the Jack 10, he thinks it's a little bit... He doesn't want to waste the hand. Let's just say he bets out, gets raised, and he kind of wastes the hand. But he could have solved some turns and rivers a lot of time, too.
Yeah, that's true.
He's probably more likely to donk like a 5x type hand, maybe a 10x type hand. But Jack 10, like sometimes you straight or restrict the guy for all the chips, etc. Good bet size.
After it goes check on the flop, though, Isaac Haxton does make a bet of over 5 big blinds on the turn. Bruno Vorkman is in a gnarly spot. Doesn't have the ace of clubs. That's
Ace king is best hand a decent amount here. I like the call. It's obviously tough with his stack size, but it's getting quite dicey here. Can Haxton jam?
If he does, can Bruno Vorkman call again?
I think Haxton would jam. The 7 is very heavy in his range. He could have clubs to bet this way, and it got there. I love the jam.
I think Bruno's going to call.
I think he's going to call. It's tough, though. It's definitely very tough.
Very, very difficult. I think he's going to go over this for a little while. He's going to think about it for at least a minute. And then he's like, if you had a 7, would you have played a hand like this? Would you play it like this with a 9? That seems a bit unlikely. Would you ever do this with a 6? And I actually think a hand like Jack 10 or maybe an 8.
Yeah, you're exactly right. A Jack 7 8. Will play it this way, and a clubs will play this way. But now we need to think about the flip side, the bluffs, the 8x's, the 10x's, the 5x's, the Jack 10s and stuff like this. And they will fire to turn this way for sure. The question is, how often does he follow through with the river with those hands as well? That's what you need to think about. Volkman holding the ace of clubs helps because it blocks some of the flush draws that would play this way too. Yep. It also helps that he doesn't hold the 10, the 5, or 8 because those hands are the hands he's trying to pick off. So ace king is actually a good candidate for bluff catching here.
It's a very difficult call, but I think he's going to make it. Bruno Vorkman. All right. GGPoker, admins, producers, production crew. We've got another call of the year. Okay. All right. This may be a little bit early, but absolutely amazing call by Bruno Vorkman. He took his time, little over a minute, but he figured it out. And that's going to do it for the first hour of poker in week 51 of the High Roller Super Millions. We'll talk more about this hand in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll see you guys soon.
Hello everybody, Daniel Negreanu here with some good news from the GGPoker Network. We've been preparing a promotion for the new year called GGCare. As any poker player might know, sometimes you find yourself in what we call unfortunate situations, some ugly bad beats, right? Well, that's where GGCare comes in. GGCare will take care of you with huge prize pools available every day. Let's see how you can get your GGCare benefits. Aces versus kings. Yep, all in before the flop. I mean, nobody's going to fold that, right? That's just a setup. It's a cooler. I can't imagine being, at the final table of the World Series of Poker heads up and this happening to me. It's just brutal. Bad beats should never be a thing, but they are. Thanks, GG. I flopped the top set. Very nice. Some fucking idiot chases a runner straight to suck out on me. Unbelievable. But in my darkest moment, GGCare was there. Thanks, GG. Flop the second nut set, the middle set on the flop. It's an impossible cooler. How can you be beat there? The guy has top set. Nobody's folding that. Sometimes it just feels unfair. Thanks, GG. As you can see, in the most unfortunate of situations, GGCare will appear for you. Are you curious how to get these benefits? Don't worry, you don't even have to lift a finger. First, simply enjoy the game as usual. Whenever something unfortunate happens, GGCare will be there. Secondly, when confronted with such circumstances, GGCare automatically will register you into a flip-out tournament with a huge prize. Just check the pop-up window. Thirdly, take a rest, have yourself a nap, get yourself a good night's sleep, clear your mind of all the bad beats, and when you wake up, the daily GGCare prizes will be waiting for you. That's all there is to GGCare. Pretty simple, isn't it? Just play the game as normal and GGCare will take care of you. And the prize money will only grow more and more in the future, so keep your eyes posted and good luck everybody. I hope you don't have too many bad beats, but if you do, GGCare will be there. Thanks, GG.
Melky was waiting to come back to the final table.
Fedor holds things. Oh my God.
Michael Adamo is the best.
Welcome back, guys, to week 51 of the High Roller Super Millions, where we are waiting a few more seconds before hour 2 continues. Nananoka will be back soon. I assume he's making his early morning coffee, because I believe it's 4 or 5 a.m. for him. I do have an announcement for you guys. Next week, there will be a show on the Tuesday evening, but it will not be a regular High Roller Super Millions. So we're postponing, there we go, our 1-year anniversary edition for 1 more week, as it will be a multiple phase day 1 event where people can qualify. But we do have a show, and I believe it's going to be a final table of a 1K event that's part of the High Roller Week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We should see a couple of different faces, because those are obviously much bigger fields, and it's harder for the regular or usual suspects to make the final table. As Bruno Vogtman here gets Jay Andersson, Mr. Gamble, to fold a slightly better ace. Well done by Bruno. So that's going to be fun. And obviously, we all look forward to the big 1-year anniversary of the High Roller Super Millions in 2 weeks from now. That's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see what Juan Dominguez decides to do here with his ace-queen. He opens it up. Don't think he's going to find a lot of action. So after 1 hour of play, things have obviously changed quite a bit. Bruno Vogtman is actually kind of closing in on the lead now. He's second in chips. Absolutely amazing hour for the reigning champ, as he could potentially win a lot of chips. I'm getting nervous, guys. We're getting hiccups over here. I was running a little bit in our break. I apologize. Ace Queen for Uncle Tony. What is Bruno going to do with his Ace King? Or Ace Queen, of course, for Uncle Tony. This could be a big one. And Nuka is going to come back, and Bruno Vogtman has taken the lead. No, this is too much. I don't think that Uncle Tony can call this. It'd just be so crazy. This is a gnarly spot. You hate to see this. Well done. Discipline fold. But excellent fold, because he would have gotten it in very bad shape. He hits us with a not sure if, but well done, mate. I mean, Juan Dominguez is sitting at 20 big blinds. Mr. Gambo is sitting on less than 20 big blinds. And all that it is ace queen in the end. It sucks. You hate to see it. You hate to fold those hands. But well done. Bruno Vogtman does some. Oh my goodness. Bruno Vogtman jams Jack 8 offsuit from the small blind. Juan Dominguez snap calls with ace queen. It's still scary for ace queen though. It's even scarier for ace queen now. Bruno Vogtman has a lot of outs. Any 4, any jack, any 8, any 9. And he finds the jack on the river. That's just freaking brutal. Poor Juan Dominguez. And Bruno Vogtman is our Neil chip leader. And then Anoko is going to ask himself, what the hell just happened? Oh.
Why did I see a good game emoji?
Well, we said goodbye to Juan Dominguez, mate.
What do you mean?
He's gone.
But gone. Why? Why?
All
and
right.
why is my guy the tip leader?
So what happened first is that Uncle Tony opened ace queen under the gun. Bruno Vogtman had ace king in the big blind, and he just went all in. Got Uncle Tony to fold. Next hand, it gets folded to Bruno Vogtman in the small blind. He has jack 8. He jams, and Juan Dominguez snap calls with ace queen. The flop is somewhat safe, but no aces or queen. The turn gets worse because Bruno Vogtman has 2 life cards and an open-ended straight draw, and he drilled the jack on the river, and that's going to do it.
What do you think of my pick?
It's pretty good. Pretty good looking pick. But I still think Anatoly is going to win it today. I'm not worried.
He's getting what he's going to do what Filatov was supposed to do. Okay, he's going to do it correctly. The funny thing is, during a seat selection process, so you look at Filatov's table, he's like, okay, I want position on Haxton. He's got the big stack. He had two tiny stacks behind him. They have 500K apiece. He's like, I know they're great players, but the chances of them running up are low. And I was thinking, like, it's a pretty good seat, but if those two guys behind him, one of them makes a run for it, he's in some trouble. And look, Volkman 8-6 offsuit. This is just pure garbage.
Well, now Bruno Volkman can do what he does best. And that is open a lot of hands and put some pressure on the rest of the table. Poor Juan Dominguez. We didn't really hype him up, even though he is a great player. And that's just personally because I'm still a bit salty about this 1 week where he threw away his lead and I had money on him. As David Peters is having none of it, and he makes a great move on Bruno. Man, tonight is feisty, Nanonoko. You can say a lot of things, but this is not a boring final table. There's been a lot of cool plays, great calls, questionable calls, but just a lot of action all around.
No, actually, I really like this final table. It's only been 1 hour, too. That's the thing. When players play week after week with each other over and over again, they've got reads. You know, David Peters there, that is not a standard jam, but he's like, I know Volkman, big stack, he's going to open garbage. 8-6 offsuit was super garbage in a cutoff, and that's a 30 big blind jam. Nice play. These guys are still battling out. I liking this one. I know it's not over, so there's more to come.
Anatoly opened ace-deuce of hearts under the gun here, and Isaac Haxton has just casually called with ace-jack of diamonds. Not the greatest flop for ace-jack, but he does have a gut shot.
Yeah, gut shot to very clean outs, but he's in a good spot so far. You know what I like about this final table too? I feel like it's not just coolers, right? Like it's a lot of tough post-flop spots for both guys. They always get marginal hands in marginal situations.
Let's see what Anatoly decides to do here. He obviously don't like to get called there on this flop because he didn't have a lot going for himself.
It seems like you're supposed to check, but these guys have been firing with nothing on turn cards. I did not expect to bet. This one, my expectation, Haxton should check here. The reason is this card improves under gun more, so he might try to represent it. He can represent like the queen jacks, the jack tens, and they try to get his opponent to move him off of those hands. You know, a lot of good reasons to check, but that looks like an emoji check.
Anatoly hits him with the sorry. Now hits him with the you suck. After he receives the bad news that the ace helped him, but it helped his opponent just a little bit more. This is a hand where maybe he can get some chippies back. Nope. He gets a walk with ace queen. We're getting so many emotes. I cannot believe that not one of them has given us a single Dan Bilzerian emote. Come on, guys.
I know. It's weird. Like they all hate him or something. It's just... God, come on, Filatov. We know you know about those emojis. Yeah, that's the first time I saw the "you suck" at this final table. I'm pretty sure too.
He uses it a lot. The "you suck" from Elke, like the regular "you suck." I love the default emotes, but the one of Elke is kind of funny because it's animated. You know, it moves. So it's like people make videos out of it. It's pretty funny.
I actually forgot about Sergey, but still sitting on the same stack. It's not too bad.
He's doing all right, mate. He's like, all of you guys are playing pretty well. I'm just chilling over here. I'm going to play the hands that I'm supposed to play, and it's all good. Top 7 locked up. Next payout is $73,000. So we have once more a couple of pocket pairs, 9s, 8s, and 3s. One of the 8s is dead, though. It's going to be hard for Bruno Volkman to flop a set.
Well, he will try. He definitely is going to try.
If he just calls, I wouldn't actually hate it if Uncle Tony tags along for the ride.
Oh, he's definitely tagging along. Suited king is like, seems like it's like a mandatory call. Multi-way, big blind closing action.
So you're not excited for the Euros at all, Nananoka? Euro 2020. Also known as
Euro 2020. I don't even know. Is it just a celebration of the continent? It's a huge continent, you know? I don't know. And he flopped the set.
Wow. Bruno Volkman had won. I didn't even pay attention because I was like, he's never going to flop a set. And I was like, I was more paying attention to Uncle Tony folding and he would have flopped top pair.
Yeah, he would have lost chips too. Well, I don't think he'll get much action.
You know, Nanoko. Wow. Pot size
for-
bet on the turn for Bruno Volkman. I think David is just gonna let it go. You know, it's been a year. You're doing great when it comes to the poker content, the poker passion, the commentary. You get a little bit out of line every now and then, and we'll let you get away with it. But we do need to work on that StarCraft passion of yours and the sports betting passion, okay? We've got a lot of diehard Degens watching us. They want to know who's going to win the Euros, and you're going to tell me that you've got nothing for them, Nanonoko? Absolutely nothing?
The thing is, how can I even talk about the year? I don't even know what you're even talking about. That's the funny thing, Roddy. Like, I don't know if you're talking about games, sports, poker.
Sports.
I've literally
Sports.
no idea what you're talking about, Roddy.
Football, mate. The European Championships of football are starting in 10, 11 days.
This is a yearly thing, I assume.
No, the Euros only happen once every 4 years. That's why it's a pretty big deal.
Okay, so it's kind of like a Special Olympic type thing, but just for European
It's the
countries?
European Championships where obviously players from the nations represent their nation. So it's not like one team that has the most amount of money can buy the best players, which is what's happening in regular sports. No, you need to be born or have a passport of a certain nation.
Okay,
Then
so it's kind of
players
like the Olympics of soccer for Europe
Yes.
only.
Yes, but inside in soccer, the Olympics are not a big deal because only junior kids play it. Because the Euros are so big and the World Championships that it's actually bigger than what the Olympics could provide. So that's why it's bigger than the Olympics if you like football.
Is that why you're wearing a jersey? I've been wondering
kind
that the
of.
whole time too.
It was a hot summer day in the Netherlands, and I was like, you know what? Nananoko's rolling out of bed with his hoodie every single week. Why the hell am I wearing a dress shirt? Nobody ever says anything about it. The Euros are coming up. I'm wearing a soccer jersey today, or football, I should say.
I can't root for America, is what you're telling me.
No, you're gonna have to wait until 2022 to do that.
How about China?
No, mate, it's also not part of Europe.
Australia. Can I keep going?
You can keep going, but you're gonna have to go for one of the European countries, mate.
How about Macedonia? I can pick that, right? That's a European country?
They will actually play against the Netherlands.
Oh, that's what you're looking up or something, I believe.
Yes. Lol, 7 deuce just flopped up and bottom pair, by the way.
I want to say this is the first time 7 deuce has won a hand in the Super Millions. It's pretty hard to say for 50 weeks, but I think there's a chance I'm right.
You know, when I think of 7 deuce, I will always think back of the day that I was in Czech Republic and we played a little featured poker game with a bunch of influencers, streamers, and Elke was there too. And we had the 7 deuce rule that if you would win with 7 deuce, everybody else would have to give the guy $20. And somebody opened and I had pocket eights and I just called. And then there was a 3-bet and then Elke just bombed it. We're like basically all in. As we have an ace of spades roll off on the turn. This is a really bad card for Isaac Haxton. And I was thinking for a while, I was like, could he do it with 7 deuce? And he looked really serious. And I was like, Elke would never be serious in like a $500 game. But he was like stone cold. I was like, he's either like being really respectful or he's fucking with all of us. And then I folded pocket eights. And then the other guy folded ace queen. And then Elke showed us 7 deuce. And I was like, no! So I had to pay him. And I would have gotten an in so good with the overfair. I was so pissed.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's really sick. Wow.
Wow.
But onto this flop. So he bet the flop. It went check pre-flop. Bet flop. Bet turn. Perfect. This is like seriously the perfect run out possible.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't make this up. Especially because Isaac Haxton will always believe that ace-10 is good here. How is ace-10 not good here, Nanonoko?
Plus, sometimes your opponent value owns himself with like ace-9, ace-8, ace-5. Yeah. And for Sergey, with his hand, he should target an ace because he's holding all the other cards. He's holding a 7, he's holding a deuce. So I think a 700K be a very nice bet in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it. 650, 700. He goes for the pot size bet. Isaac Haxton probably wondering what the hell is happening here. This doesn't make any sense.
It's a little greedy.
What a 6 spot. Yeah.
It's a little greedy for me, but it might still work. This is one of the best hands The problem with Haxton, he's kind of a GTO player, so he's like, this is one of the best possible hands I can have in this situation because I didn't raise pre-flop. So, ace jack.
Yeah. Makes the call. And he's going to receive the disgusting news that Sergey has a full house with 7 deuce, not offsuit. Uncle Tony hits him with a good play. Isaac on tilt. Man, poor Isaac Haxton. That's just a gross hand.
And he's getting emojis from other players, like not even like the bad beat kind of emojis. They're like the confusing, the good play, like the little rude. So this guy Sergey hasn't played that many hands.
Chip
Then
leader.
he shows up with 7 deuce to turn into the chip leader.
Must be nice. Who's playing a lot of poker at the moment over at GG, which I think is really cool. Tennis, is that a little bit more your sport, maybe, Nananoka? Do you know anything about tennis?
I know more tennis players than football players, which is
all right.
Strange.
So, and we are kind of the same generation, so you should be familiar with Yevgeny Kafelnikov, right?
All right, never mind. So go.
Like old school Russian player. I think he won a Grand Slam once or twice, and he's playing a lot of 5-card PLO at the moment, which I just think is, it's really cool, man. Like he's got his own little avatar too, or his special name.
That's cool.
And it's just like, I grew up playing like tennis video games, and I used to play with Yevgeny Kafelnikov, and now he's sitting on my left when I'm playing PLO. It's beautiful what poker can do.
Yeah, it's cool how like you get to play with like these celebrities and stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's a game you should be playing no matter what, Roddy, just because it's just cool. You sending emojis back at him, right? Have you showed him a Snapchat, though? That's my question.
Yes, I have, actually.
Nice.
And yeah, he didn't respond. It's kind of like my Instagram DMs. When I slide into those DMs, I'm like, hey, it's like no response. I'm like, Yevgeny, I used to play with you in virtual tennis, and just ignored me, and he's like, shut up. I'm like, okay.
He's like,
big hand.
This guy keeps emojiing me. I'm just gonna quit playing altogether. So stop for a second. I think Volkman opened pre. He's got smooth call by ace king pre and bet.
Yep, it's gonna go check on the river, and Bruno Volkman will receive the news that king 9 is no good. So Anatoly wins a big one. I think this is probably the most he could have ever won, right? Because if he would have 3-bet, then king 9 probably just lets it go. None of this ever takes place. But since it was just a call, Bruno thought king 9 was good. Well done. Yeah. Anatoly turning it around a little bit. Still second in chips. Feeling all right about it.
This should be interesting because Haxton is jamming 8 big blinds, which is not a lot, but it's not a little either. So I'm curious to see if the ace deuce comes along.
I think after losing that previous hand, he's going to fold. If he would have won the last hand, he would have called.
He's not one of those guys. He's Bruno Volkman. Obviously, even if he calls here, he's actually like flipping, pretty much. It's a really annoying spot. I think a lot of guys fold.
Jay Andersson did fold an ace, and Bruno Volkman will fold too. I don't hate this fold. I think it's quite okay.
Yeah. It's a good final table so far.
It's been really good. It's been excellent. I look forward to the one of next week too, because it's a 1K. I could probably play. Maybe I'll try my luck, Nananoko. Maybe I'll try my luck in that 1K, and then I can talk about the guys that maybe I've played with and make to the final table, or my dream will come true and I make it to a final table and Nananoko has to commentate Roddy. And I'm going to raise pocket fours every round.
There's like raise, 3-bet, 4-bet, like, you know what? I'm chip leader. I'm all in with pocket fours, all the chips. Who knows? That's something crazy. That'd be really fun to see. So there's a special week. Yeah. Did you want to talk, or can you hold? Yeah. We'll talk about it in a second because I think there's going to be an all-in confrontation coming up.
I already mentioned it while you were on the coffee break that next week we have the 1K edition. And then the week after that, we have a big final table, the 1-year anniversary of the regular 10K. So that's going to be our official week 52.
Nice. Okay, so pocket eights here. Okay. Haxton's opening ace king under gun with 10 big blinds. And Anderson's like, what the hell is this? Because most people jam or fold, right? Mm-hmm. Every time they open like this, they got it. He's got it. He's going to go for it.
I think it's bad news for Jay Andersson because I looked around the table, no aces or kings were folded. And if nobody had an ace or a king, I feel like Mr. Andersson, to win this hand, he basically needs an 8. Because one of those cards is going to show up, Nanonoko. We're going to need to most likely make a set to win this one. That's my prediction. Or a queen. Everyone loves a chop pot. A queen we chop, an 8 we win it.
Oh,
it's a
no,
9 or a 10.
Dead.
9 or a 10. Yeah. Well, that is unfortunate for Mr. Gamble. Means he's pretty much eliminated. He's still in it with 1.2-ish big blinds. But Isaac Haxton kind of back in the mix with his ace-king. It's just so likely that the flop is going to be good for ace-king if like 4 or 5 people don't have any aces or kings. You know that they are out there. You know they're in the deck. You know they're going to show up.
I like that they are making the 1-year anniversary a bigger one, right? Like, cause it wouldn't be so cool if you win 300K or whatever first for the 1-year anniversary. So they get the, but we're doing just a 1K next week. Is that what you said?
Yep, that is correct.
This is to allow the phases to grow that week after for the 1-year anniversary.
Correct.
Okay. So we might see some we're gonna see a lot of randoms at this final table.
You're gonna see Roddy, mate. It's happening.
I want to see Roddy and Kevin Martin with more chips in them at the final table. That'd be sweet. And
well, if Kevin Martin is playing, I'm not playing, mate. Like I've got him red flagged. I avoid Kevin Martin everywhere. Sergey making a ballsy move here with ace-10 offset. We know that the timing is correct. Anatoly hits him with the "you suck."
No, that'd be cool. That's a nice little change up next week. Quite a different field, but I bet you we see Lena 900, Nicholas Esteta at that final table.
Final table too. Uncle Tony has aces. It gets a bit awkward because Mr. Gamble limped all in with 9-7 offsuit.
Yeah, it's funny because Andersson, he needed to wait one more hand. It's funny.
It's kind of annoying for Uncle Tony.
I feel like Uncle Tony hasn't played many hands. How he gets aces.
Okay.
Nice.
It's going to be hard for Mr. Gamble to survive, especially on that flop. And he's drawing that on the turn. That's going to do it. We are down to 6. No magical run up for Mr. Gamble this week. But he did make 2 pay jumps. You know, to be fair to him. Mr. Gamble came in as a short stack, 9th place. Finished top 7. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Chip leader. Like, it's funny because he's the chip leader, but I'm like, I can't remember that much because it's literally that 7 deuce hand vaulted from 2 million to 4.5 million.
And jacks. He made some chips with the jacks when there was an open, a call with the 10s. He 3-bet the jacks.
Yeah, but he didn't make that many chips. He made like 400K.
But he came in second in chips, Nanonoko.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, he was sitting on 2 million the whole tournament. Then he wins that one hand. So, like, I'm just saying, he hasn't shown his that much muscle. He has shown muscle with the ace-10 just now against the ace-6, but, like, he hasn't been the final chip leader for so long so far. But look at this one.
If there's an 8 rolls off on the river, I'm going to throw up. That will be so sad for Isaac Haxton.
So Volkman.
An 8 of diamonds or an 8 of clubs or an 8 of spades. And he's dead.
What about 9? 9 be funny. Volkman fires. Haxton, of course, gonna call her. Oh. And it's the 8. Okay, Roddy, are you live?
Gross. That is so gross. Oh my god. I'm getting goosebumps, Nanonoko. I mean, Isaac Haxton is out.
Of course he's out. But it's just funny because you're just saying it'd be so gross if the 8 rolls off the 8.
And it's like the
Sunrunners.
Yep, it's the gross 8 as well. It's not even like the 8 of hearts where there is like maybe a world. Oh my goodness. Poor Isaac Haxton. Oh, that's brutal. That's just brutal. This is where somebody tells you that's poker, and you're like, shut the F up. You're like, ready. It's like, that's not poker, okay? This has nothing to do with poker. This does mean that Bruno Volkman chips up to 4.2 million. He's having an absolutely amazing run. Oh, man, poor Isaac.
And you know those guys who bet on Bruno Volkman, they feeling pretty good because his odds were like, what, 20 to 1 or something like that?
I've got money on Bruno.
Yeah, feeling good. People who bet on Bruno last week, 100% bet on Bruno this week, right? Like, you roll it over. And they bet on him probably the week before that. This is back-to-back-to-back final tables. A win in the second one. Potentially a win in this one today. And the Nano no-go pick.
I'm still so grossed out. Like, that's so sad for Isaac Haxton. You can't make that up. Well, you can, because as you can see, I have seen a lot of terrible things when I've been playing poker. You know, I watch Kevin Martin and Egyptian play, and I'm like, poker looks so fun. Like, they're just having these great runs with their little community. And then I play, and that's how I go out, Nanonoko. That's what happens to me 4 times in the evening. And people are like, don't be sad, Roddy, that's poker. I'm like, no, I look at Kevin Martin, okay, it never happens to him. It happens to me all the time. As David Peters. Let's not forget what he did with the ace-3 a little while ago.
Ace-3, worse hand and more big blinds. A stronger hand and less big blinds means auto jam.
Means auto call this time from Bruno Vogtman. And are the rich about to get even richer? As Bruno Vogtman is going to get it in real good. There's no way he folds. He's never folding ace-king. He's looking for a new mode. Never mind, he just calls. David Peters will need some jacks or straights, or maybe we can chop this one up. But it's not looking like it. We need a jack and a jack only. Or we are all of a sudden down to 4, and that's going real quick. It's not paint. Bruno Vogtman is now the overwhelming chip leader. Uncle Tony hits us with the running hot. Give us a Dan Bilzerian emote, guys. What the hell? Well, we're down to 4, mate.
We're getting triggered because we're not doing the damn. It just doesn't even make sense. It's a new emoji. Literally just came out today or the other day or whatever.
Today.
And they're spamming. The thing is, I understand if they are not using emojis, but they're actually using emojis and they're trolling us.
Yeah. I think at this point they are kind of trolling us. Uncle Tony top 4 though. The man is turning $1,000 into $155,000. And he just got Anatoly Filatov to fold King 10 suited with his Queen 10 offsuit. Surprising fold with King 10. You think he's worried about how tight Uncle Tony has been?
Yeah, 10% V. The funny thing is, Uncle Tony is pretty... Wow, Queen 3 offsuit.
Oh my God.
He's created a new play, because usually people go from Ace 5 offsuits to King, maybe King 5, King 4 offsuits. And he's taking it to the Queen 4 offsuits. My God.
Think he's going to all in this?
He's definitely raising. He's just wondering if he should jam or just raise. He's going to go for the raise. Yeah, Uncle Tony, look, the funny thing, he hasn't played many hands, but when he plays a hand, he goes all the way, right? Like, he's just bluffing it off. But he doesn't play many hands. It's interesting. Kings and tens, though.
Yep. Kings and tens. Well, that's going to do it. We have ace 7 suited as well. If Uncle Tony would just call here, there's a chance that ace 7 gets in the mix, or will always get in the mix.
This is a mandatory jam, a mandatory call, and a great run for Macedonia.
Well, Macedonia ain't done yet. Anatoly Filatov will make the call with the Kings. 2.1 million chips in the middle. No 10s inside. Can we find a 10 on the... Oh my goodness, we find the 10 on the turn. Uncle Tony, his miracle run continues. King? Oh my God, it's a king on the river. It's ridiculous. Uncle Tony is still out. Set over set. And we are down to 3. What the hell is happening?
That's brutal. You don't do that to a guy who's satellite in. You just give a clean run out and be like, okay, good game. You don't give him hope and then just crush it just like that.
Like, don't even give him the 10, just be like, oh, I got it in bad, King's hold. Don't give him the set on the turn to then make him lose on the river. My goodness.
Yeah, wow. That's just been crazy bust out ever since Vogtman started off with Haxton.
No, Vogtman started it off with Juan Dominguez, mate.
Oh, you're right.
You were drinking coffee.
Whew, exciting, but good run for our satellite winner. How much did he win, did you say?
155,000, I believe it was.
Good. Very nice. Yeah.
Down to 3. Your pick alive. My pick, I know, not special. I'm not going to pull Nanonoko, still alive. And Sergey, who has played 2 hands.
He's talking to you.
Rotterdam, SC2, 1 love. I think that's what he said. That's amazing. Yeah, he's really cool. He's got one of his friends is apparently a viewer of my channel. And when I do the railing on the Sunday night, the dude likes to hang out and he talks about you know, the things that Anatoly is up to and supports
Mm.
Anatoly. So it's pretty cool.
Interesting spot. Check on flop. Min bet raise by Volkman. Anatoly still calls, which is ace high, and it's the correct call. Nice. So we got a good battle. 3 guys with a lot of chips. Okay. Like a lot. This is like 70 big blinds minimum for each guy. It's gonna be a good fight.
But it's also Bruno Volkman and Anatoly. They're pretty crazy, mate.
Yeah, those 2 guys feel like they're gonna blow up pots for just to do so. Especially Volkman, and then Sergey. You know, he chooses his spots, and I think he's gonna hang. I feel like Sergey is gonna get to the top 2 for sure, and it's just one of the other 2s that are gonna clash.
I think he will call here. 2 overs and a gut shot. Bam! Drills it on the turn. Bad news for Anatoly. Really bad news.
Yeah, and sometimes when you bet with ace 4, you're like, he put a big bet out there. Sometimes you find a way to win. I would love to see a check from the king queen. I think there's way more value in inducing a bluff than getting called by worse.
Obviously, one of the worst river cards there for Sergey.
But maybe it's okay. Maybe he gets his opponent to stab, trying to represent that straight, and you know you're sitting there with like 2 pair or something.
Do you think there is a world where, let's say, okay, he bets 600K, right? Do you think that if Anatoly would go all in for 4 million, do you think he makes the call with king queen?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I really would love to see a check with the king queen.
I don't think I could make that call. If my opponent there would bet 4 million with these stacks, I don't think I could call.
I think most people won't. I think most people won't, to be honest. But a lot of times, most people won't bet out there with the king too, I think. Because you want to protect yourself from that spot. Because let's just say you do bet out a king there. Your opponent is actually holding a king. So he can never lose the pot because no one ever smooth calls ace king in the big blind. So the other guy can free roll his opponent and jam and make his opponent fold. That's why I like checking rather than betting out there. Because you remove that play from the game.
Anatoly makes a 9 on the river. It's not a big pot, but all the little bits help as he is the shortest of the 3 as we speak. Sergey is like, you know, the best thing about Sergey is that now after an hour and a half, we still have no idea how he plays. But he does have 5 million chips.
Yeah, he's not like crazy out of line in terms of pre-flop selection. But, you know, we can see he definitely chooses his spots. He makes some stabs here and there. He's quite solid.
Smooth calling with 10s. What do we make of that?
Not standard, but you know, not Sergey. Anatoly kind of does these things where he kind of calls like pretty strong holdings a lot pre-flop. Something about, I think the thing is Anatoly, for some reason, with like 10s, jacks, whenever he's up against other big stacks, he kind of errs at a caution and let's see a flop rather than 3-bet him. But I'll tell you, most guys 3-bet the 2 10s.
He's probably going to bet this hoping that Sergey has an ace, right?
He's probably going to bet big too. He's going to hope.
Overbet.
Like 700K. That's the vibe I'm getting.
820.
He doesn't expect an ace to ever fold, so he's trying to... A lot of guys go greedy here. Well, okay. Not what I expected. It's like 190 or something.
Yeah. It's like less than 3 big blinds that he bet there.
Yeah, it seems really weird.
Try to get the guaranteed call, but...
I think with you almost go at least half pot. You know, like, well, ace...
Hoping to get called by king high?
Yeah. Who knows? I guess he was... Like, it's hard to predict Anatoly's bet sizing game because he's kind of like all over the place. He does bigger bet sizes, small sizes. Yeah. He's very creative and tricky. So it's hard for me to comment too much on what sizes he likes to choose.
Does make it incredibly hard for the other guys to play against him though, right? Because we are sitting here and we see everything and it's still kind of hard to figure out what he's going to do. And obviously they're playing without the information that we have. Anatoly bets the flop. Sergey calls with his flush draw. Makes a pair of kings on the turn. Decides to check that one back. Let's see if Sergey can find a bluff here as he's playing 9 high. He
Against
does.
that size, never works.
I feel like if we want to bluff, you gotta fully send it. Like I want to see some proper bluffs in it. I want to see at least 360 there or 400k. I don't like those two big blind bets on the river.
The two big blind bet was basically just to target the other high card type hands or like little pocket pairs that has 3 over cards to it. He wasn't expecting those hands to fold. But I definitely can see your point. Jack 4, just gangsta here. Just nothing.
I mean, he's like, last time you limped, you had 7 deuce and you knocked out Isaac Haxton. We're not gonna do that again. We're not playing that game, Braton.
So I think these stack sizes is quite interesting in the sense that it plays very differently based on who's playing them. I think over like let's say the next 10-15 minutes we're going to kind of see the direction it's going. Right now it seems quite limpy, so it could be quite slow and not 3 bet
6
heavy.
of diamonds on the turn for some spiciness.
Jeez, just because you pick Anatoly to win and my other guys on the other side, you don't need to wish for the death cards from my opponent, okay? Come on.
Let's see what Bruno does here with King 8.
Probably will call because
think
he's
so.
got draw to decent draw, and it's funny. Plus, he has the best hand sometimes.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. Position is nice.
For sure. That's always a big factor in this game. Here, I mean, there's not much to talk about, I guess. Does he raise?
Yeah,
maybe.
I think he will raise to like 1.1, 1.2.
He might go small. You just hope he's got crying calls from like 9x. Goes too big, he gets those hands to fold. I'm thinking like a 900k or something.
1.1.
Maybe. It's possible. I don't know. 1.1 exact.
Take
Really
notes,
good.
Nananoko. Take notes. You know, people think that I'm the clown and you're the expert, but it's the other way around.
Okay, clown. No, just kidding. But yeah.
Well, nice hand. Nice hand by both of them.
Yeah, so it's kind of what I expect to happen with these stack sizes, 70 big blinds plus. It's just going to be a limping, the small blind, like very, very high frequency.
It's a very even fight, though, if you look at the 3 stacks. I'm excited for this, man. I feel like it's anybody's game. Sergey, we still don't really know what he does. We know Bruno is crazy, and Anatoly, he's just very tricky. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Could be still a winning night for Anatoly. I mean, obviously, I think all 3 of them are already quite happy. Anatoly and Sergey came in as the 2 biggest stacks. Then if you can lock up top 3, you're always satisfied with your performance. I think that's, you know, you can kind of hope for that, and you can set it as the bar, and anything else is a bonus. And I mean, Bruno is just he's giving us Nicholas a stat vibes over here. Back to back final tables. Last week, short stack made top 2, and now he's here again. Came in as 8th, or came in 8th place tonight with only 600,000 chips, and here he is, 5 million chips again. It's insane.
Yeah, I think he's if I was to guess, our 3rd biggest winner in the Super Millions with this score.
I can look it up for you, mate.
I mean,
I had
I
that
have
open.
to. I'm likely correct. Nicholas Estet, Jay Anderson, Volkman. Best. They're just the best. What can I
Yeah,
say?
you mean in pure profit?
Yeah, I like to think in profit, but
Yep. No, Conrad Reinen. But after tonight, Bruno Volkman will overtake Conrad Reinen.
I mean, does counters count, man? The guy won like $1 million in one tournament. You know what I mean? Like,
True. True.
All right, so check on the flop. Volkman bets big on turning. He got called by ace high. Nice.
You know, also, he's got a very nice profit. Arseny Malinov. We don't see him that much. I think he likes PLO. I'm pretty sure I've played a couple hands of PLO with him.
I think he's a cash game player who's done really
Yeah.
well in tournaments too. Haven't seen him lately, but he's doing. Yeah, he does good. Who else does good? Who's like our top 5 winners? Any idea?
Well, in pure profit, you know who's also really up there? Ben Ward.
We throw those guys out. Those are like the outliers, right? Dryden and Ben Ward, because like they played one tournament and they won it.
Dryden played 43 in his defense. 43 entries. That's Arthur Martirosian has over 500,000, so that's pretty good. Julian Stewart has got 32 entries or 18 events played. He's up 1.1 million. Arseny Malinov played in 26 events. He's up over 1 million in pure profit. But the biggest winners are Nicholas Estad, Jay Andersson, Michael Adamo to some degree, like crap ton of earnings, but also a lot of bullets have been fired over the last 49 weeks. And Bruno Vogtman. David Yan has a really good record.
Oh, yeah, David Yan, that guy, he's never won it.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure David Yan's never won. He keeps getting
you're correct. 0
second,
wins.
third, and fourths.
That's really impressive, actually. He's up 1.1 million without a win.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Okay, ace on ace action here. Limp pot. Volkman value raising incorrectly, but he doesn't know that.
Pretty funny to see some of these guys. They played once or twice and then they won it and they're like, that's it. I'm buying a Ferrari.
A lot of times when you
I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times you come back and you're like, well, because usually those guys are some sick crushers and they're like, you would think they're like, well, I'm printing. I didn't know that I can print this much money in tournaments. I'm a cash game player. I just try again. But no, they just like cash out. Give me some Bitcoin or whatever it is.
Well, they should have kept it on the side then. That's been
$1 million profit turned into $500,000 profit. Like, oh my god, sucks.
The 8 will play or Filatov with this run out, and this is a big pot, man. 1.5 million chippies. If Filatov wins this hand, he will take the chip lead. You know, also is a big winner, Elis Parsinen, still close to 1 million.
We used to see him all the time, but we haven't seen him lately. Probably playing against your Russian tennis pro, whatever at his PLO cash games.
Yevgeny Kafelnikov, he's a legend, mate. He was in Virtua Tennis. Don't tell me you never played that game.
I've heard the name of the game. I don't know if I don't think I've played it, but I'm familiar with the name.
Well, Sergey is, or Bruno Vogtman is about to get familiar with Sergey. As he's raising King 5. Ace King, we're going to bump it up to like 610, maybe 620.
I mean, something. I don't know what it is, but it's a big number.
I would like 707.
It looks cool. Like that bet looks really nice for some reason.
You know, whenever I see people raise it to like 737 or 747, I always think of airplanes. Like, I can't fight that. Or like if I play a game of StarCraft and I win it in 7 minutes and 37 seconds, I'm like, oh, it's a plane.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like the first thing I think of.
Just think of Boeing 747s and that's it. Like it's just but like you're like probably the only guy who's ever played poker who thought of that in their life. Literally in all of the world.
Impossible.
No, it's not impossible because it's a stupid thing to think about, Roddy.
No, it's not. Sure. If you travel a lot and then you always see all these planes come by and you see the planes and you sit in and you get familiar with them.
Oh, so you're telling me you're waiting at the airport lobby, you're looking outside the window, you're like, that's a Boeing 747. No, you're not thinking that. No one thinks that, Roddy.
What?
You're tilting me. Maybe the pilots think that, but they're not playing poker.
The 747 is the queen of the skies, no? Like it's a come on, that's a classic.
Yeah, but it's. I'm pretty sure. I'm not reading chat, but I'm sure they must be on board with me. You're ridiculous, Roddy. You're ridiculous. Pocket fours always make us sets. Okay, and when I see a 7, it's all I think about airplanes.
No, not when I see a 7, but when I see specifically 737 or 747, yes, then I think of airplanes. It's not weird.
Oh my gosh. Is this show over yet? I think I'm done.
Well, I don't know what's happening in this hand. As Anatoly Filatov is getting real creative, and Sergey cannot make the call with ace high.
Yeah, that's a muscle play. It went, so Anatoly's been bumping up some really, really bad hands against limps. Jack 4 off, Queen 3 off.
You know what's going to happen next time you play poker? You're going to raise and then somebody calls from the big blind and then the flop is 737 and you're like, damn you, Roddy. You're going to think of airplanes too, mate.
You know what I think about is those pocket fours. Like, I can't not think about what you say. It's ridiculous. And like sometimes I'm like, I got pocket fours. I'm like, I should play this just in case. And
Have you been playing a bit lately?
Not much, but like I play occasionally, right? But like when I see pocket fours, I think of you. 100%. And it's the worst because say it's like a spot where I know I'm supposed to fold, but a part of me thinks about continuing. But here we got what, bet on turn, call. I'm not sure who bet. Probably Anatoly.
Yes. That is correct. Bruno Volkmann made the straight. It's obviously not, the dream straight, but it's a straight. And straights are good. We'll probably go for a nice bet here.
I think he goes big because this is what Volkmann does on boards when he hits them, and then like he can represent bluffs, so like diamonds, of course. He probably goes big. Goes look for some crying calls here and there.
Mm-hmm. So obviously,
it's big.
Yep, goes for the overbet. I actually think Anatoly can get away from this one.
Yeah, it's tricky. When you play against these crazy players, it's like, man, I know I'm getting bluffed sometimes. I know they've got it sometimes. It's really a guessing game. That's the beauty of the game. This is like, that's poker. This is like some really high-level poker going on. I don't know what he's going to do, but I think he's definitely capable of calling here.
He is capable of calling, but I think that he just hates the river. Yeah. Anatoly makes the fold. I think if the river, like obviously the 9 helped Bruno, but like if the river would have been like a super random card, like a deuce or a 3 or a 4, and a similar bet would have been made, I think it's a lot more likely that Anatoly finds the call. But now he just loses to so many random hands.
Blinds are up. Still pretty deep stack, because normally we don't get the 3-handed this early, I feel like. It takes like at least 2 breaks or whatever, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've had moments where we had like 3 breaks and there are still 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, but it's nice to see Volkmann and Filatov here. Not to take away from Sergey, but like with deep stacks, these guys, they really spice things up. Sometimes you put these stacks of 3 different guys, it's like, oh, it's watching paint dry a little bit, right? I know they're playing for big money, but they're like super cautious and stuff. But these guys, you can see they're really fighting for it, really raising a lot from the big blind when the small blind limps. And it's creating a lot of funny dynamics.
Tonight we've just seen a lot of fun hands where they actually put each other in very tricky spots. And it's not been easy to play. It's been anything but straightforward. So Anatoly makes trip 5s, goes for a 1 big blind bet.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's induced his opponent to float with just nothing. Normally
7.
you see this flop, you're like, oh, just check and induce. But actually, betting actually creates more value because it looks like you're trying to represent something.
If you call on that flop and now you pick up a gut shot, and you basically still have 2 overs to everything besides the ace, I think Bruno will call again. Bruno can be very, very fortunate that he did not find a 7 there, because if he would have found a 7, it would have been a pricey hand.
Anatoly, at this point, he probably reads his opponent for an ace.
Yeah.
Call 2 bets. On the flop, he thought random cards, but now it makes sense for a bigger bet. Can Volkmann do the stupid? Not I wouldn't say stupid, like just like a random YOLO race.
Bruno lets it go. Like, if you would know that your opponent had 8-9, would you say there's more value in checking there?
Of course, but
you don't.
You need to think about the spectrum of hands, and with the bigger, with the way the action went, it's just you need to target that ace, because if they don't have an ace, they're checking usually.
Ace 5, ace 5, and 9, 7. It's gonna be hard for Bruno to make a lot of pairs, but Anatoly doesn't make anything either. Sergey definitely did lose quite some chips. At one point, he was sitting pretty at over 5 million.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, this guy's stack changes drastically, but I don't really remember how it happens. Or like it's one hand. Because he's solid. And I don't know. What happened? He had 5 million.
Yeah. How did he lose? He lost his chips to Anatoly.
Yeah, but in one hand.
I don't know. We were talking about airplanes.
Silent killer. Here's a little fire bet. Queen, 5 off. Nope. No bueno.
trying to remember it. I don't remember
Can't.
it.
No one can. It's not possible.
We know that he limped a couple times and then he got raised and he was forced to fold.
You think it? You think it's just from bleeding? 1.8
No,
million
no,
chips
no,
is
no,
a
no.
lot to bleed.
He played like one proper pot. Wasn't it?
Oh well.
Oh, I thought Anatoly had jacks once and he made a set, but that wasn't that big of a pot.
I feel like when if he does bust, or if he say he busts not and doesn't win it, we're just not gonna remember how he busted. We're just gonna be like, oh,
No, we will.
it's gone. I see. All
Bruno
right.
goes for a race with the sevens.
AC Deucey. Limp calls. Playable.
Yep. That's definitely the kind of flop you want to continue on. A 5 or a heart or an ace. I mean, 5 is the sweet baby dream, but...
With these little pocket pairs, you got a lot of incentive to c-bet these flops, even though you don't love it when you get action, just because it's quite vulnerable. You know, half the deck's an overcard.
Let's see if Anatoly will... Ooh.
Nah,
It actually sucks for sevens, right?
It is. It's also quite weird that his opponent's check raising here. He might still call.
I think Anatoly can go pretty big now, though, because he's got the ace of hearts.
Yep, he's got a lot of equity. And if his opponent is bet calling sevens, then he needs to bet this, because that means he's calling like 8s, 9s, 4x, 3x, whatever. Like, he's got a lot of hands that will fold, a lot of hands that will
good
call.
bet. And Anatoly's playing this hand really well.
Yeah, and Volkman is... It's not over yet. It's
Nah,
be a
you can't.
pretty heroic call, I'll tell you.
You can't.
You
You're
can't,
not allowed
but
to.
No, you're allowed to. But
Absolutely not. You get a penalty. It's in the rules, actually. If you call
for
here
calling
with
with the best hand, Roddy.
Yes, absolutely. You're not
He's
allowed.
thinking hard. He does let it go. He didn't want
Amazing.
the penalty.
I love the way that Anatoly played that hand. I think it's really smart.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch because he's got a very unique style. I'm sure you've noticed now, right? Like he kind of like is the most feel player, one of the more feel players we see, right? You think it's gonna work, I'm gonna go for it. Theoretically, quite a different player. Like I don't think like he's playing theoretical. I think he's playing the players, the situations, what's been happening.
Yeah, but that's what poker is all about. And
I
like,
agree.
I like that everyone has obviously like the solvers and everything. But then at one point it also becomes boring because then there is nothing to be passionate about anymore. At the end of the day, if everyone plays the exact same way, there will always be a way to take advantage of that because that's how everyone plays, right? And I think
Right.
that's important to keep in mind. Sometimes I feel like the crushers, they're getting a little bit too carried away with like, this is what you're always supposed to do. Let's not forget at the end of the day, there is always a different way to do things correctly.
Yeah. And Filatov's always been this kind of player. I've known him, been around for a long time, and he's always been like this reading situation. He's very good MTTs because of that. Because in MTTs, obviously we got the pay jumps at the final tables, different stack sizes. So he's actually this is familiar ground for him, despite not having reached our final tables many times in the 10K. But he's been here a lot across all sites and in different tournaments, etc.
Why do I feel like Bruno is going to do something weird?
Just like Deuce 4. I mean, he's going to continue. It was a 4x open. It's quite big.
Yeah. It's so funny because if that was 4-2 offsuit, it's snap fold. And then he's like, suited. It's pretty good.
You know, I can feel a little heat between Volkman and Filatov. Volkman's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna best this guy. I've got position on him. I know it's three-handed, but it's still important. Blind versus blind.
It's actually not the greatest board for the ace queen, right? Because now you're like,
Yeah, once he checks the flop, it starts to get a little disgusting, but I don't think he's intending to fold at this point.
No, of course not. I agree with you on that one, but it's like, if you had a random 9, obviously I was beat. Now I'm also beat by a king. What's going to happen now? A jack or a 10, just to make things even worse?
Jack or 10 be brutal. Volkman, let's see, he's got nothing. Is he one of those nut low players where he just bets? No, he's not.
Obviously, Filatov feeling real good about his ace queen now.
He's probably going to go
going
like,
for...
I want to say
2.8.
normally you go around pot. just to get max value against the ace-x. They will never fold.
And that is what he did, a little bit less than pot. But Bruno, with his 4 high, had no intentions of doing something too wild. Bruno was hoping that Anatoly would do something wild this time. Let's see how he plays the king, small blind against big blind. He knows that Sergey doesn't get super crazy. So he's like, how am I going to get this guy to commit some chips? It's almost suspicious how he took like a little bit longer than he normally takes. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I saw that too. It's like, he was thinking, do I limp like what I normally would do?
Yeah.
He's like, no, raise may look tricky. Sometimes these little timing tells can mean something.
This guy, they absolutely would. Sergey just snap folds, and Bruno's like, well, those were some underwhelming kinks. As we have entered our second break, I was enjoying myself, didn't even keep track of it. Anyway, that means we're going to take a couple minutes for ourselves. We have a few highlight videos prepared for you guys, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to continue hour 3 of week 51 of the High Roller Super Millions.
Hello everybody, Daniel Negreanu here with some good news from the GGPoker Network. We've been preparing a promotion for the new year called GGCare. As any poker player might know, sometimes you find yourself in what we call unfortunate situations, some ugly bad beats, right? Well, that's where GGCare comes in. GGCare will take care of you with huge prize pools available every day. Let's see how you can get your GGCare benefits. Aces versus kings. Yep, all in before the flop. I mean, nobody's going to fold that, right? That's just a setup. It's a cooler. I can't imagine being, at the final table of the World Series of Poker heads up and this happening to me. It's just brutal. Bad beats should never be a thing, but they are. Thanks, GG. I flopped the top set. Very nice. Some fucking idiot chases a runner straight to suck out on me. Unbelievable. But in my darkest moment, GGCare was there. Thanks, GG. Flop the second nut set, the middle set on the flop. It's an impossible cooler. How can you be beat there? The guy has top set. Nobody's folding that. Sometimes it just feels unfair. Thanks, GG. As you can see, in the most unfortunate of situations, GGCare will appear for you. Are you curious how to get these benefits? Don't worry, you don't even have to lift a finger. First, simply enjoy the game as usual. Whenever something unfortunate happens, GGCare will be there. Secondly, when confronted with such circumstances, GGCare automatically will register you into a flip-out tournament with a huge prize. Just check the pop-up window. Thirdly, take a rest, have yourself a nap, get yourself a good night's sleep, clear your mind of all the bad beats, and when you wake up, the daily GGCare prizes will be waiting for you. That's all there is to GGCare. Pretty simple, isn't it? Just play the game as normal and GGCare will take care of you. And the prize money will only grow more and more in the future, so keep your eyes posted and good luck everybody. I hope you don't have too many bad beats, but if you do, GGCare will be there. Thanks, GG.
Elke was waiting to come back to the final table.
Fedor holds stings. Oh my God.
Michael Adamo is the best.
Welcome back to hour 3 of the High Roller Super Millions week 51, where it's a good opportunity to let you guys know that this Saturday, the final table will be played of the WSOPC. All the action will be brought to you by Jeff Platt and Brent Hanks. Final table with Nicholas Estet and Egyptian. It's going to be fun. I'll definitely be watching. And I think there will be final table betting too. I'll fire a couple bets, Nanonoko, but I don't know on who yet.
You should put some money on that chip leader for sure, Roddy. Like, it's a trophy case. It's just going to grow and grow. Put $100, I don't know, something, Roddy.
It's definitely, it's a reasonable bet. Let's put it like that. Well, the odds are probably not going to be too juicy because everyone's going to bet on Nicholas Estet.
It's free money, man. It doesn't matter. It's free money.
If I've learned one thing in life is that there is no such thing as free money. Unless you get pocket force, that's free money. Bruno Vogtman's got queens. He's going to bump it up. I think ace deuce will see a flop.
No, come on. Ace deuce does not see a flop. This is the weekend, Roddy. Come on, play your A game.
I think ace deuce is not going to see a flop. It does suck to open 3-handed and fold 2 races, though. You don't want to do that too often.
Yeah, of course. But ace deuce is just, it's not even close to a call.
This time you were right, Nanonoko.
Okay. Well, no, we got a bit of battle, but you know, when we started the 3-handed battle, I believe we have everyone having around 5 million, maybe 4.5 million. Now we've got a little bit of separation here, so quite advantageous for Filatov.
Let's see if Sergey will continue with his ace high. He's got some backdoors. Nope. We'll let this one go too. He is starting to chip down quite quickly. Not too long ago, the man was sitting pretty at 5 million. He now lost half of his stack. It's not really going his way.
A little surprised from that fold. I feel like Anatoly's kind of just been firing away. A7, best hand too much, I think. Jack 3. This is a bump up if I didn't know any better. Like, okay, I'm surprised. Do you like Jack 4 is good enough, but Jack 3 a little too weak.
He lets it go.
I mean, look, he's just.
We gotta call this one though.
Of
But
course.
like 2 big blinds, like this would be criminal to fold. It's not a pretty turn. Filatov takes the lead with a pair of 3s. He obviously doesn't know, but having a pair is always nice.
He's just gonna blast away here, just trying to. Okay, 2 pairs. Ooh, that's actually perfect because his opponent feels he's gonna need to bluff this card, and he's gonna lose.
Let's see what Sergey decides to do here on the river. 500,000 chips in the middle.
I'd be betting at least 420.
And you will be losing at least 420.
But to be fair, it's a good bluff. It's quite a scary card. His opponent has ace highs, has like 6x's, 7x's that can't really handle the heat. You need to go quite big. If you go too small, like those 2 big blind bets, you know, those hands start to call. I know it's not going to work, whatever he bets, but in the grand spectrum of things, like a bigger bet is probably the right play here.
He's really taking his time. Filatov has probably already made up his mind. I'm calling. Whatever you do, mate.
Yeah, he's hovering over the call button.
Yeah. He's like, quickest call in the West. Sometimes I do this when I know that like my opponent is deep in the tank and I'm like, mate, whatever you do, I'm calling. I'm just like, already know where the call button comes and I'm just like clicking, click, 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 click. And in the moment,
do you ever just spam the click button so fast so that it's literally the quickest call in the West, you know? Like,
yeah. No, I do that. And then like when they made a bluff and they took like 45 seconds, I use WEP as an emoji, you know? It's like a perfect moment to use WEP. Oh, there comes Sergey with a pot-sized bet on the river.
Yeah. So, like I said, the bet sizing is definitely on the right side. just sometimes they got it.
Oh!
Oh, yes, finally. Hey, that's
Dan
pretty good.
Bilzerian running hot as Anatoly Filatov chips up to 8.5 million chippies. You know, that's
Not even-
like the first I saw it. I saw the Dan Bilzerian running cold when I was just playing some PLO, and I was like, "What? What is that?" I was like, "Is that?" And then I went to the emotes. I was like, "Oh my goodness, they added Dan Bilzerian."
It took hours, but Anatoly finally heard us and did the Dan Bilzerian emoji. Please show us more.
Oh, he will show us more because now he's got the tab open of the Dan Bilzerian emotes.
But that sounds pretty funny because, like, man, his beard is huge in that emoji and is like on fire. It's really good.
Yeah, no, they did a good job. They're very HD. It's funny as well because if you now go back in time and you take a look at when they first introduced the Danny on the ground emotes, they look like crap compared to how everything looks now. It's really funny what a year and a half or 2 years, like just the entire interface. The changes are always really small that GG implements, right? They don't drastically change the way everything looks. But if you now look at it, oh, as Anatoly makes a call there with ace high, and he is wrong this time. Bruno wins a couple chips. It's funny because if you look at a stream on YouTube of like Egyptian or Jay Nendes when they used to play over at GG like 2 years ago, you're like, whoa, everything looks different and kind of ugly. And it's like, I don't even remember they changed all of this, but it's all the little changes that add up over time that just keep making GGPoker better. And I know it sounds weird when we say it here, and it's obviously a GGPoker show, but I genuinely mean it. They keep making things better.
Yeah, I can get behind that for sure. Volkman, let's get King 10 off. A little check.
That is correct.
A little overlay trying to throw off my game.
Well, I might just fire up the turbo, Nananoka. You got this right. If there's an overlay, what is in there? That guy's getting real short now, by the way. It's 22 big blinds left.
That's the funny thing is, didn't he have 3 million not too long ago? How did he get to 118?
Well, he just he just bluffed on the river, to be fair.
Oh, right. But like, I'm just saying, like, if for some reason, I can't remember. I don't know why. I'm gonna forget his name next week too. That's the thing.
I don't think I would forget the name of a Russian player.
Those are the hardest names to remember. They're like all, you know, like Nikov. I forget his first name, and then there's another Russian that I get mixed up with. I forget who.
I'm gonna go with Andrei Kotelnikov.
Well, who's the other guy I get it mixed up with?
Barkov.
Barkov, yeah. All right, so...
Oh, Andrei. Yeah, close enough.
Good. Nice one. There was a bet on a turn. Not sure who threw it in there. It's like a lot of... Anatoly really thinking about something.
Feeling pretty good about my bets, man. Like, you know what often happens? I've noticed this in the past, where I feel like a chip leader ends up winning it. It's not like they came in as a chip leader and they just steamroll the entire table. They often like have a couple missteps early on. This happened so many times with like Milogno back then, who took out my Kotelnikov, but a few more. Like it goes down for a bit, and then they still bring it back. And I guess that's the luxury of coming in as a chip leader. Like if you come in as a shorter stack or a middling stack, if you lose 3 hands, it's over. Like you're out. But the chip leaders, they've got that luxury of going on a little downswing, but still having enough chips to turn it around. And that has happened to a lot of chip leaders over the years.
They get the second and third life, right? That other people don't. You know, the one time we had a steamroll was literally Michael Adamo, and he lost it. That's the thing.
Nope, he lost against Yuri. I feel like when it comes to chip leaders winning, maybe like Ben Ward had one of the sweetest runs. Like I feel like he barely faced any adversity. He just won every hand he was in for 3 hours straight. Bruno Volkman's got jacks. This could be a moment where maybe King 7.
It might, in a sense that you're getting desperate. Blinds just went up, suited king. You're like, this guy opens too much, and you're just like, fine, whatever.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing that we have seen in 51 weeks. Yep, he does it. Yeah. Well, Bruno will gladly call, of course, with jacks. And he will receive the nails. The jacks are good for now, but he needs to avoid kings and clubs. Or sevens, as Mevin Carton would say, that sevens are the nuts. We're going to need a king. We're going to need a king or a club. Any club, any king.
He's done. Held.
He is done. It's the deuce of diamonds, and that means we're heads up. We get our second then Bilzerian emote of the night. Bruno Volkman with 6 million, Anatoly with 8.7 million. Round one fight. Hey, whatever happens, I made some money with final table betting, but I win a lot more if Filatov wins than if Volkman wins.
Yeah, but you're on a roll. Like, I'm telling you, betting 3 guys is perfect, Roddy. Bet too much more.
You're right.
Exchange.
I was about to put some money on Isaac, but then you said, no, you're only allowed to bet on 3. I was like, all right, 3 it is. I'm glad I did. Hey, like in a way, I feel a bit weird about hyping this up because last week was, of course, a bit different, right? But
sure.
Bruno Volkman could become our very first back-to-back champion.
Yeah, he could be. And if he does, he'd be 3-time champ too. Time another guy. Up against a strong opponent with more chips though, who came as a chip leader and who you got $100, $200 or something on, like, you know, it's a little bit of a climb, but it's a win for you. Like I said last week, there are no deals that can be made, whether it's at the table or on the side, and I think all the players know that now. Yeah, this is bad.
This is a big bet.
So bet flop, bet turn, and he could even go for value of a hand like 9-8. Not on that card though.
Filatov makes the call. 2.2 million chips in the middle, as apparently Anatoly Filatov once again posted in YouTube chat. SC2, one love. It's good to see these guys show some love to the beautiful game that is StarCraft. As it goes check on the river. And Anatoly extends his leads. And for the first time tonight, we have someone over 10 million chips at this final table. And this could be it.
100%.
I mean, it doesn't have to be it. No,
this
not
is all.
46
I'd say
big blinds.
100% it's getting all in. Trust me, Roddy. There's no question that this is 2 aggressive players. This is 100% all in, Roddy. Just
46 big blinds.
Trust me, he's gonna jam.
Okay.
Just trust me, Roddy. You better start calling to action.
Well, we had an open with 9s. We had a 3-bet with ace-king offsuit. And then Anoko says 100% all in, and he is correct. Ace-king offsuit versus pocket 9s. A flip for 9.5 million chips. Oh, and there's the ace.
Oh, no.
A 9 or a spade, and it's all over. A 5 we chopped, by the way. With a 5 we chopped. 9 spade, 9 spade. It's a spade! Filatov wins the High Roller Super Millions week 51. $325,000 for him. I want to say chips. You were right, and I did not expect it, Nananoka. Often when you say this is it, I'm like, okay, Nananoka says this 27 times in the evening. But 46 big blinds, I feel like that was a lot. That's a big... I mean, it's heads up and everything. Come on, yeah.
It's standard for heads up, but regardless, yeah, wow. I wanted to see a match between these 2 guys because they're pretty sick and they play some big pots, and they played a big pot right there. That was a cooler right there. Ace King 9's heads up. Wow, Filatov showed us some emojis at the end. I'm a fan, you know, despite my guy that I picked to win didn't win it, but I like to see someone who listens to the commentators and does some emojis here and there. Filatov, he had a swingy beginning. I think after he overcame that, he pretty much was playing quite solid, but he had a battle. I feel like him and Volkman had a lot of marginal situations throughout the whole tournament. They both played pretty well. He did amazing. I think it's definitely a worthy champion. I knew he was capable of some very strong plays because I've known this guy for a long time who's been out there and he's a good crusher. Previous final tables, more kind of just hanging in there because he didn't have a big stack. Big stack today, different type of player. But Volkman, it's really, really impressive. Not only did he get back-to-back final tables, he got a first and then a second amongst those 2 times. Of course, sure, maybe the last one is maybe a bit questionable, but still,
yeah,
it was still like it's an amazing score, and they just kind of flipped for it with either one could have won that situation, because I remember last week they both had a lot of chips when that happened. He's been doing amazing in the Super Millions. Yeah, he didn't win it today, but one of our top 3 winners in profit 100%. But Filatov making a name for himself, very well deserved. Use those damn deserving emojis. I want to see the rest of them to personally. Great final table. Lots of post flop.
Yep.
I loved it.
This was just a really fun night of poker. That's the best way to sum it up. My heart goes out to Isaac Haxton, because that 8 of diamonds on the river, that was just as gross as they come. Like, it doesn't get any worse than that. But I think this was a really fun evening where we saw just a lot of very cool hands, a couple of cool bluffs as well. Let's not forget about the ace high call that Juan Dominguez also made on the river against the trip queens of Bruno Vogtman. That's kind of where Bruno started his rise up. Bruno Vogtman getting a little bit lucky when he, well, you missed that, but when he jammed Jack 8 offsuit from the small blind and got called by Ace Queen and found a Jack on the river. It's a good hand. It's good to see a guy that's been giving us the emotes that we want to have, and then also showing some love to StarCraft 2 and the beautiful game that StarCraft is, and obviously the amount of love I have for that game makes me really happy. But I kind of knew Nanonoko. There's a reason I picked him, and that's not because he was a chip leader, because that's your thing. I don't do that. When he beat Arthur Martirosian on the Sunday night, and Arthur had kings and he had aces, I'm like, all right, that's it. Now it's written in the stars. I think this is Filatov's tournament. He played solid. Definitely the luxury, I think, of coming in as chip leader, where you do have that second or third life, like you said it, because the start was a little bumpy. But even when it felt like he was on a downswing, he was still the chip leader. It's just that, you know, the massive lead he had over the rest of the table kind of vaporized. But he still had more chips than anyone else. And that's a really good feeling when you're like, man, it's not going well, but it's very easy to get yourself together when you look around and you're like, I'm actually still the chip leader. You know, there's no reason to go on tilt, no reason to do anything wild. That was a fun evening.
Yeah, I like to see guys like Filatov do well too, because he's got his own style. It's not standard. He kind of like plays the situations, the stack sizes, you know, the pressure. And it's very fun to watch. It's very refreshing. I like to see, you know, more than just solvers that win. I'm sure he studies those things too, but you know, he throws his own twist in it, and it's really refreshing. And I would love to see him in future final tables. I know he's going to keep trying. With this score cements his confidence in him being one of the best players out there. And I love the Super Millions. It's one of the best, and we've got a special anniversary coming up soon. Next week will be a little bit different, right, Roddy? You can give him a little details on that.
Yep, next week we are covering the final table of a 1K that I believe is part of the High Roller Week. And then the week after that, we've got a very big 1-year anniversary edition of the High Roller Super Millions, where there are multiple phase day ones, all qualifying for a big day 2, and then the final table will take place on the Tuesday evening here, 2 weeks from now, Wednesday morning for the people in Australia and Asia. That's going to take a little while. What I do want to say as well is that the last few weeks where I did the railing on the Sunday night, even though Filatov didn't make too many final tables lately, he was often in the mix. Like when I was looking at the final 25 to final 20 players, he was in there. And actually at one point he had a big stack 2-3 weeks ago, and then he just couldn't win a flip. There were 3-4 big flips in a row. He lost all of them, couldn't make final table. But this wasn't out of the blue, because he's been knocking on the door. He's been having multiple deep runs. And this time, I mean, if you take Arthur's chips deep in the tournament, you get special powers, mate. It's like one of these animes, you know, where if you take out one guy, you get his abilities, and that's kind of what happens when you knock out Arthur. Well done by Filatov. It was cool. I think that's pretty much going to do it. Obviously, this Saturday, guys, the final table of the WSOPC. Nicholas Estad comes in as chip leader. The action will be brought to you by Jeff Platt and Brent Hanks. That's going to be fun. Cheer for Egyptian, because he's going to be in the mix too. And I'm definitely tuning in for that one. Nanonoko, are you busy on the Sunday morning? I guess it will be for you.
I mean, I really want to watch it because I want to see how Nicholas Estad performs against these other guys out there. And he's an amazing player. I learn a lot from watching him play, even though like he's not the most creative player, but he's the most solid, and he knows he chooses the spots really well. And he's our biggest, most profitable player here in the Super Millions. And I just want to watch it. Why not? It's free content. And I get to take a break from commentating and get to listen to some other guys commentate, so it should be fun.
If those guys don't talk about pocket fours making a set, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna send an official complaint. There is a beautiful GG Discord out there, guys, where people do a lot of complaining every single day. All I know is that I don't want to end up as a moderator in the GG Discord because that seems like hell. We want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back same time, same place next week with the final table of that 1K. But make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and make sure to tune in on Saturday for the final table of the WSOPC. Congrats to Filatov, SC2, one love. Best words to close out. See you guys.
Elkie was waiting to come back to the final table.
Fade or hold stings. Oh my.
Michael Otamo is the best.